in San Diego, although I hear today it has cooled off a little bit. We're not in the 90s. We're in the low 80s, or high 80s, I believe, correct?
Yeah, my wife, my lovely wife, agreed to turn the air on over the weekend when it hit about 110. But as soon as that needle went under 100, Tony, it was time to flip that baby off and open the windows and put the fans on. So
get some of that hot air.
Get some more hot air in. No, she was good about it. House has been cooled off, but you're right. It's not too bad today. We did finally turn the air off today. So, getting back a little bit to normal. It's supposed to be a little better the rest of the week. But I'm excited for these games here in Seattle. I mean, all of us. I mean, first of all, can we just start the show by giving a big thank you? I mean, a big one to our old friend Nick Martinez last night, who pitched shutout baseball and helped
Nick Martinez doing Nick Martinez things this time of year.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you. I was getting a little. Look, I think the Padres have the best team. I think they're going to make it. I don't think they're going to be caught in the wild card, but. The Braves won last night. Game and a half is a little close for comfort, I must say. So I was happy to see Nick Martinez provide that victory last night, bump the margin back to 2.5, and hopefully the Padres get back to work. I don't believe the Padres are in any kind of slump at all. 3 out of 4 happens in baseball quite often.
Why? Can I ask a question? Why worried about the Bravos when the Diamondbacks are
I'm worried about. Well, because I'm not worried. Look, I want to make the playoffs, and the Braves are the third team there.
You're worried about them falling all the way.
Sure. Yeah, that's my panic
That's
of
a reasonable
concern.
fear. That's a reasonable fear.
I mean, if the Braves had won last night, the Padres would only be a game and a half clear of all 3 teams. So the fact that it's 2.5 makes me feel a little better. And, but look, I don't think the Padres I said this yesterday, I don't think they have to overreact. But Skraby and I did discuss a couple of things in your absence. And, looking forward to your take on those things. So.
Well, let me hear them. I missed out on what was talked about in my travel times.
Well, one of them was my thought. And the other one I'm going to blame on Skraby, just in case you don't agree with it.
Yeah, which one are you going with first?
I think you have a better chance of liking my idea, but it's not my idea alone. I mean, I've seen it a few places. I'm going to go back to what I said when Ha-Seong Kim first got hurt. And my first thought was they can last a week to 10 days by filling in at shortstop with Tyler Wade and then Mason McCoy, and I think they were fine. But I think now that Ha-Seong Kim is still out and he's no return necessarily in sight, I think it's time for the Padres to either put Jake or Xander over at shortstop and open up the DH spot for either Peralta or Donovan Solano. And I think that, I don't know that, Mike Schilt has spoken to this. I know Xander Bogaerts said he thought it was time to get Solano back in the order. But I do think that would be a move that I would be willing to make right now. Nothing against Mason McCoy. As I've said many times, I think he's not hurt the team in any way, shape, or form. But I'd rather have Solano and or Peralta's bat right now. That was the first suggestion. The other one was more of a Skraby suggestion that I tried to make him feel better about.
You're such a different person when Tony's here. You were like all about it yesterday, co-signing on it, thinking this is, what, Skraby, that was a really great take.
Let's start with Skraby's idea first. So what is Skraby's idea?
Well, Skraby's idea, which was co-signed by me yesterday,
thank you,
is that Jurickson Profar is slumping and Jackson Merrill isn't, and maybe. Even, we've talked about it. We've been patient all year. We kept Jackson down in the order because that's where he's done Jackson Merrill things. But I am starting to think that with 17 games to go, maybe we have a better chance to score a bunch of runs with Jackson Merrill in the middle of the thing at the 3 and drop Profar down until further notice. So let's start with that one, Tony, because I'm pretty sure you're not gonna co-sign on that.
I'm not gonna co-sign on it, but it's not an outrageous idea.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Jurickson has struggled a little bit swinging the bat. I don't know that it has to be Jackson that moves into that spot, though.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Like I think you could move Jerickson out of the 3 spot, and whether it's Jake or whoever you decide to put there, you can put a guy in there that's Jake's hit there all year, and this offense has been pretty good all year with him hitting in that 3 spot. So you could do that if Mike chose to do it. But I think the first one is really the real discussion, because hold on, let me get my calendar out here. I want to be precise. That's going to be my off-season resolution. I want to be precise on what I'm talking about. So you guys, I'm giving you and Chris a free card, and everybody can remember this. I'm saying it right now, 206 September 10th. I want I want to be better about getting people's names right. If I don't know the name, I'm going to ask, hey, Skraby, help me out with such and such. Now, I don't want to keep butchering people's name, and I want to get information right. So I say that to say on, I believe it was August 16th.
Okay.
Or no. Did Kim get hurt the last day in Colorado?
I think he did, Tony. I think it was the Sunday.
It was the last. It was a day game, right?
It was the Sunday.
So August 18th,
okay.
Kim goes down.
Okay.
With a jammed shoulder. We are now moving into almost about another week away from it being a month since he's been out. He went on the 10-day IL and hasn't returned yet. I think there is reason to be concerned there at this point, right? I mean, he hasn't we've seen him do some certain things, but we haven't seen him like put it all together in terms of throwing, running. All of that's going to have to be there. But it has taken longer than I think, many people thought when it happened. And I think there may be a real need to start thinking about what it's going to be, what it would have to look like if he doesn't come back at this point. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the season. I mean, Padres come back from this road trip. They'll have one full homestand left and one road trip left before, season ends. So time is a ticking at this point. And then you start to miss enough time to where, what is it going to look like when he does come back? So I think that's a legitimate question in terms of who moves to third. I think it is going to be Bogey. That's the one that makes the most sense to me to move. Jake's versatility to play first, second, short, I think you want to maintain that because I think ultimately he's still your best first baseman. But if Bogey has to move to short, obviously Jake's probably the one that's going to move to second.
Yeah.
You're going to have to then move Luis to first base, more than likely, except on the days you decide not to start him against a lefty. But I got news for you. Come playoff time, I don't know that he's going to be coming out of a lineup because a lefty is in that is starting the game that day.
I wouldn't take him out right now. That's for sure.
Right, especially the way he's swinging. So it's going to be a Peralta DH or a Solano DH in those cases, which I think everybody feels pretty darn good about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
I do. So.
I mean, I think that's probably, probably a more pressing thing to discuss versus the Profar moving out of the 3-hole spot.
Mm-hmm.
Those are rich people problems in this major league game, right?
Not our pay grade.
But I do think the issue that you bring up, Chris, is probably one that we should probably start paying attention to. Hopefully, we go out today because I'm pretty sure Mike Shields is going to be asked about it before the game. What's Kim's progress?
Yeah.
Hopefully he comes out and says he's knocking on the door, but we haven't heard that as of yet from Mike in any of the pressers or scrums we've had.
No, we haven't. So, and again, I don't want to pick on Mason McCoy because I really like what he's done.
Yeah, can I say something about that real quick?
Sure.
Because Mason McCoy has done exactly what has been asked of him to do since he's come up here, which was, hey, go defend the shortstop position and hold your own offensively. Obviously, I think Mason's a little limited offensively in terms of what he brings at the bottom of the lineup, but that by no means should indicate that he hasn't done a good job while he's been up here filling in for Hassan Kim.
Yeah, he's been great. But if they're going to go into I mean, there's some people that I've heard, and I don't know that whether anybody, I don't think anybody really knows anything, but, people start to run away with themselves. And I've heard some people running away and saying, we may not see Ha-Seong Kim at all. And I don't know that that's even remotely something we should think about. But if we go into the postseason and Ha-Seong is not ready, I would feel a whole lot better if Xander Bogaerts has played shortstop for 3 weeks and, gotten his feet back wet again. And, I just think right now that gives the Padres the best chance to win. And it is now a sprint to the finish. So
For sure. I think it's a great point, Chris. And I think if that's something we see in the next couple of days or weeks, antennas should immediately go up. Because, it was said that, Xander wasn't going to move back. But we've seen him move back over to short, late game situations. We've seen it a couple times, I think, since Kim has gone out. If he gets a start there, I think that would raise a ton of antennas. Because that's not a guy you're moving to a spot like that unless there's some type of, I don't want to permanent, I guess, for 2024. Unless there's something around that, I don't see them moving him to shortstop. So if it happens, I know my antennas would go up immediately.
Your antennas being the ones that are concerned about Kim's return long term.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, long term as in 2024 for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be, it's going to be an interesting scrum. We had the day off, and the scrum meaning the visit with Mike Schilt today, because I think there's going to be a lot of, like you said, a lot of that asked. As soon as we, hear what he has to say, we'll pass along to everybody. And I think it'll be interesting to see the lineup tonight. Again, back to Profar. I've loved the guy more than anyone. There might be some people that have loved him as much as I've loved him, but I don't think anybody's loved him more than I've loved him this year. I've just enjoyed everything about Profar. But for 17 games right now, I've got to get my best chance to win in there, Tony. It's too close right now. I do not, and this is what I did say yesterday, I do not want this to slip away. And I've got to give it my best, everything I can do for 17 games. And I think if Merrill were thought of, I think the fact that we talked about, hey, let's leave him down there. Let's let him do what he does. Let him relax. I think now we could bring him up without concerning ourselves with any long-term damage. I mean, there's 17 games, so, do what you can do.
I don't honestly think the worry was ever long-term damage. You just wanted him to be able to go out and play. And I think the same thing is going to remain now. I mean, you can make the argument the lights are going to be brighter and the stage is going to be even bigger at this point in the season. And so I'm not sure that that'll be the move he goes. It's certainly a move that Mike has in his back pocket should he go that route. But I think there are other options for him to go. And, one of the options is not change anything
That's
at
right.
all. Leave Profar right where he is. So,
that's why I'm looking forward to the lineup more than normal today.
Yeah,
to see if anything happens.
I mean, I don't know if you guys saw AJ's article a couple days ago where he was talking about Bogaerts being an option at shortstop. I think you start having those conversations if there is some worry that Kim is not going to be back available. And, the fact that they're entertaining, because there was a time where they wouldn't probably have had this conversation and that the Padres wouldn't even entertain moving Bogey to shortstop. But,
agreed.
Given the quotes in there in terms of from what Mike Schilt said, yesterday was not necessarily a setback. Schilt said after the 7-6 loss, it just wasn't a move forward. So we're still in the evaluation process. That scares me a little bit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
agreed.
Evaluating as we get this close in the year, that's certainly something that raises your antenna. So I think you're right. I think if the move is going to be I hate to use the word permanent. Seems like it's so final, but whatever is below permanent, the next word below that.
Yeah.
I think it will be Xander that probably goes to short.
Temporarily permanent.
They're temporarily permanent. Exactly.
That sounds like a Mike. That sounds like a Mike Schilt phrase.
It does.
Actually,
It kind of does. Actually, it's temporarily, permanent, guys. Everybody out there. So
Well,
what about all the tweets saying we have possibly seen Ha-Seong Kim play his last game in the Padres uniform?
That's why I said people
It's
are
a real
starting to run away with
hey,
that, but it is possible, I guess.
It's a real possibility.
I hear
It's
the
a real
Giants are
possibility.
really loving some Ha-Seong Kim.
Well,
in the
his best
offseason.
friend is on the team over there. So I mean, listen, everybody, guys got best friends across the league, and that don't necessarily mean they are gonna go sign with that said team. So,
Money
but we
still
do know Ha-Seong is a free agent after the end of this
I
year.
can't see Ha-Seong Kim being paid to come back here next year, but at the same time, I'm so far away from being worried about that at this point.
Right, right.
mean,
Let's live in this
I
moment.
honestly want to win this game tonight, and hopefully put a little more distance between the Mets and the Braves, and get more comfortable because I want to get into these playoffs. I think this is a team. We talked about it in the roundtable last week. I think everybody's starting to think these thoughts. It's a team that has a real shot, but they don't have a real shot if they let the thing slip in the next 3 weeks. So, let's just make sure we take care of what we got to take care of. And that starts with you, Darvish, tonight up in Seattle against those Mariners in the Eddie Vedder Cup. Didn't they beat us the 2 games in San Diego?
Yeah.
They
so
spanked
we
our
own.
booties.
Yeah, we own.
Yeah, Julio Rodriguez wasn't hitting a beach ball, and then he hit everything.
No kidding. Man. Couldn't get him
Right,
out.
he came in and not hitting anything actually, and then left hitting everything.
Everything.
All right, let's get to break. Plenty to talk about on this Tuesday. Luis Ariz continues his unbelievable streak of strikeoutless baseball, which me too. Another guy who I looked up to, or admired, I should say, as I was coming up, who had 2 streaks longer. We'll get into it on the other side. More Padre talk, more Luis Ariz talk when we return. Gwynn and Chris.
Do you want to go out? All right, welcome back. Welcome in. Gwynn and Chris. Little Tuesday afternoon action for you. Chrisello, Tony Gwynn Jr. is in Seattle, Washington. Padres and Mariners coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. Sam Levitt's pregame show gets underway following our show at about 5:30. Matt Skraby is in as well, and he's in good spirits today after his 49ers
Showtime!
looked the part last night. They dismantled Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Kicked them 32-19. Kicked me, too. I was playing against the 49er kicker in fantasy. You can probably figure out how that turned out.
Not well.
6 field goal
Not
night. But I will say this, Tony. There's 3 weeks left in the baseball season, and there's 17 weeks left in the football season. I think I have a better idea who's going to win the Super Bowl than I do who's going to win the World Series right now.
That's fair. That's 100%
Right?
fair.
I mean, the 49ers, without Christian McCaffrey, just toyed with the Jets. And the Jets, you know, by all counts, are a pretty good team. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers is a little rusty, okay? I'll say that, but it's just, look at the line play. Every time the 49ers hand off, whoever the running back is, and in the case of the game last night, some guy nobody's ever heard of, you get at least 5 yards downfield before anyone touches you. Brock Purdy never has anyone in his face when he makes a throw.
Oh, my gosh. The Brock Purdy slander is just...
It's not slander.
It's not slander,
It's
it's
just
facts.
compliments to your team. Why do you look at it so negatively?
Because you're saying that he's not. He's a good quarterback when he has time.
That's not what he even said. That's
That
not
is
what he
so
said.
not what I said. What I said was he always has time. I don't know if he's a good quarterback without time because we never get to find out. Nobody ever lays a glove on this guy. The 49ers dominated that game so easily, and you're assuming that the best player in football is going to come back here, and we'll talk about McCaffrey later, but 49ers, I'm sorry. If they, after 1 week, they look pretty good. Let's just say that. I don't want to overdo it because Skraby will get all upset, but
Yeah, well, no, I think
sorry. I mean, they are what they are, which is really good.
the 49ers are good. I mean, I think we knew that at the end of last year, even though they lost the Super Bowl. They're a very good team. I know Chris and I like to try to push Skraby's buttons on this. They are a fantastic team, and they really showed the Jets yesterday how much further they need to get their stuff to go, get their stuff going if they want to have a chance to be in this conversation. Because that was a dismantling of a team, and they did it really with really a lot of ease. They didn't really have to work for much in that game at all, and as you said, it was without the best running back in the league.
The only time they got stopped is when, Ayuk dropped the ball or somebody, missed a play. They scored on 8 consecutive possessions. They finally didn't. They finally stopped scoring when it didn't matter. When's the last NFL game you saw a team score 8 times in a row?
That's nuts.
Nuts.
Like not even one punt. We're scoring every time
we
for
get the ball.
Eight straight times.
Anyway, so yeah, look, they look great, and that's fine. We'll talk more football as we go
fine.
along. Well, just because you take it the wrong way,
Okay,
all
can
the
I
time,
tell you why?
you're
Because
trying to defend a team that we're sitting here telling you is fantastic.
The reason I
and you're
took it
still
the other
whining
way,
about it.
No, the reason I took it the other way is because I keep seeing all these talking heads talking about, well, if Brock Purdy was on this team, he wouldn't be that
I
good.
didn't say that.
I know. That's how I took it because everybody just trashes
The
Brock
next
Purdy.
time he gets a helmet in his chin and completes the pass, we'll talk about it. But I haven't seen a helmet anywhere near his chin for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I can't rate it that way.
That's by design, too. They don't want helmets near
No.
his chest. They want to block him.
This guy's unreal.
I'll tell you that it was impressive that Trent Williams played almost every snap of that game
come
last night after not playing at all in the preseason.
We know who the real MVP is. Trust me. Because if Trent Williams did not show up to that game, it would have looked a whole lot different in terms of helmets in his chest.
That's a fair point.
I think that's a fact.
That's a fair
Yeah,
point.
so Breece Hall and Brock Purdy were roommates in college at Iowa State. Did you hear? They asked Brock Purdy what the most annoying thing that Breece Hall
He used
did.
to leave yogurt on the spoons
Yes!
and ruin all the spoons.
Yes, he used to take yogurt and eat it. Breece Hall used to eat it, and then with yogurt all over the spoon, he would just put it down and let it dry all over the. I thought that was so disgusting.
You know he must have did that a lot for him to actually remember
Yes.
it and then bring it up again.
And then say that was an internal conflict between roommates.
College roommates are kind of a disaster to begin with.
They're disgusting.
just
Let's
are.
be honest.
They just are.
I had some college roommates that
We've
were
all had
diabolical.
them, and we've had them, and we were them. So
we're
let's
still
be
them.
honest.
I
Yeah.
wasn't. I didn't play around.
You were terrific.
There is nothing worse than dishes in the singing. So I got about a good month of dishes done, and then after that, I'm like, you know what?
Paper
I'll
plates.
just stay in my room in my little corner the rest of this time. I'm not doing any more dishes.
There was a bathroom. I'm going to call this out at UT Davis at this frat house that my friend lived in. And every time I used to go visit him, it was such a gross bathroom that I would go to the gas station next door to use the bathroom. It was
That's
that
disgusting
gross.
if you went to a gas
I
station.
mean, Chris,
bathroom.
you were in a frat. You know what a frat house bathroom looks like. It's horrific.
Spent far too much time in one. Far too much time in one of those. Tony mentioned Luis Arise. I do want to get this in because we're going to have Tony for a short time. But this streak that he's got going, 119, I think now, appearances without striking out. It's impressive to me. I know I don't want to get into the analytics people and how much they hate Arise, but
let's not give him. Let's not give
let's
him
just
any,
not give
any
him
time
any.
on the show
Yeah, let's
today.
give him no time today. Let's just talk about how good this guy is, Tony, and how hard what he's doing is.
Incredibly hard. That's why no one else is doing it.
Yeah, right.
He's on pay, or he's now chasing my guy Juan Pierre, who had a 147 spanned plate appearances where he didn't strike out. And the thing that's been fun here as of late is as he's gotten hot is the type of hits that he's getting. I mean, you can almost book it at least once a game. He's gonna hit the 5-5 hole, whether it be on a line or on a hard ground ball. He gets a knock there. It's been multi-hits, it seems like, over the past week every night. And I was talking to Scans about this off air. They showed his heat map the other day, and all 9 of the squares were red. He had a little lower average, maybe in a few of them, but they all were red.
Yeah.
A few of the spots on the outside of the zone were red.
Yeah.
But it got me to thinking. He has, I think, one of the higher chase rates in baseball.
Oh, and I love when those nerds bring it up too.
He's got, they bring it up almost not even understanding what they're looking at. For him, chase rate it might be insignificant because he has the ability to hit balls that are outside of the zone hard and get hits. That's something. So that's not everybody's chase. Like, everybody who chases doesn't have the accuracy to be able to still hit the ball hard enough and find knocks. But it brings me to the point of, I mean, even if you cut his chase rate down a smidgen, how many more hits are out there for him? Like, if he ever figured out a way to just cut it down, I don't know, 3% from where it's at, and attack the baseballs that are in the zone even more, like how many more hits would be out there for him. I mean, we saw him hit the oh my gosh. What's the closer's name for the Cardinals?
Helsley.
Yeah. Helsley, yeah.
Helsley threw him probably the nastiest slider I've seen that probably would have hit the dirt. He turned that into a double down the left field line. Like, that's an ability that everybody doesn't have. It was a ball. It was, as I said, it was going to hit the dirt. But, I mean, the run he's on right now is amazing, and he's doing it at the most important time of the year, too, by the way.
Love this guy. Absolutely love him. According to what Skraby wrote yesterday, and I haven't seen it anywhere else, that's why I'm mentioning this, your dad once made 170.
Yeah,
170 plate appearances. So Arise has got 50 to go to get to that. But
that's a ton.
That is just incredible.
50 more?
I mean, everybody else in baseball, when they get 2 strikes, I get ready for the punch out. Arise, it's a challenge to him. He knows he's going to. I couldn't love this guy any more than I do. So
he's hitting 276 with 2 strike counts this year.
The rest of baseball's hitting about 190, if that.
168, actually.
There you go. 168.
You're close.
So he's 100 points better than those guys. By the way, last bit of greatness for your dad, career 302 with 2 strikes. So Arise is good, but he's not that good. Not Hall of Fame good yet. We'll take a break. When we come back, we got an early afternoon edition of Chris's Fantabulous Sports Game Show coming up.
Yes.
Skraby's good mood will be put to the test next. I'm Gwynn and Chris.
Hey, you said I was in a good mood. That's nice.
Stick
Thank
around.
you.
Gwynn and Chris.
2:40 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matthew Skraby. Padres back in action, 6:40. We have a Mariners lineup, but no Padre lineup to this point. So
they're being still.
We'll have to. Yeah, they're sorting it out. Mike Schilte's sorting it out a little bit.
Yes, he is.
We'll talk a little bit later on in the show about Tyreek Hill and the incident that has unfolded and revealed more information since the last time I believe Chris and
it's not
Matt
only
spoke on it.
it's not only the biggest off the field story in football. I mean, I think it's the biggest story in football. Honestly, I mean,
yeah, no, it is.
This has brought
sure.
Attention from all corners, and deservedly so. So we will break that all down because the more information we get, luckily the smarter we sound a little bit when we're talking about it. Skraby and I took a crack at it yesterday before we had really seen everything, and I don't know that we said everything we wanted to come up with in the end, but
we
anyway.
did the best we could with the information available.
Yes, we did, which was risky business, to say the least.
Very risky business.
Yes, it
but we'll get into some of that talk here a little bit later on the show. But now, one of my favorite parts of the show. And
Why do you
Skrabe,
like it so much? Why do you like it so much?
It's entertaining. I have a lot of fun doing it. Skraby, I know you don't want to have your face on camera right now, but
I didn't realize
eventually,
that. Hold on, here we go.
Yeah, no, I'm sure
everybody wants to see the disappointment.
And they do see. You know what I'm disappointed in? Is that I can't find my pen, and I do this every week. No, that's not my pen.
No, I know. I'm offering you one.
Whatever. I'm so annoyed.
Here, have this pen. I don't need it at the moment.
I don't know.
Oh, yes, I do need it at the moment.
Sorry.
Okay, never mind. I got a pen now.
You found one?
Really? No, I got. Do you need this pen back?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
I'm good.
All right, we got a Fantabulous Sports Game Show coming your way right now.
Hey, all you beautiful people out there, it's time to play one of our favorite games of the week.
All right!
We like to call it...
Ooh, I'm going to go...
Chris's Fantabulous Sports Game Show! And it starts right now on 97.3 The Fan. For the record, Chris, for some reason, is asking for the pen he gifted me back.
And I'm giving you another one that I found. So now you can have that. That's the studio pen that you have.
It's from something called the Peninsula in New York.
There's no telling how many germs are on that one. So I'm giving you that
Great,
one.
thanks, Chris.
I know you love that.
You know I love germs. That's why I'm so freaked out about not having my pen.
All right, here we go with the Fantabulous Sports Game Show. Tony is the defending champ, as is often the case. But I think you got
champ is here.
You got a very good chance today, Skraby. I think this is kind of a hit and miss category.
Okay, all right.
I'll give it to everybody, and then you can play along out there, see how many you get right. The guys will be exchanging correct answers. And first 1 to 9 is the winner today. You want to get 9 to win. If you miss an answer or you repeat one, you get a strike. And 3 strikes and you're out. All that is remaining now is today's category. So here we go. The category on the Fantabulous Sports Game Show today, 17 teams, 17 in the National Football League, have an all-time regular season winning percentage of better than 500. Your job is to name those 17 teams.
Yowzers.
Wow, indeed.
There are 32 teams, as we know. 15 of them have all-time, and this is all-time percentage record, right? So it's not just number of wins, because obviously some teams have been in the league a lot longer than others. So this is by percentage only. You're looking for the 17 teams that are over 500. If you guess one of the ones under 500, then you will get the dreaded buzzer. First to 9 wins. Skraby, would you like to go first, or would you like to give Tony the opportunity to get on the board first?
What's it going to be, Skrabe?
I'm going to go first.
He's going to go first.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
He says he's going to go
Mr.
first.
Skraby, name an NFL franchise that has a winning regular season record all time.
49ers.
The 49ers have won 625. They have lost 515. They're well over 500. They are in 8th place all time on the list of winning percentage. Yes, that is right. How about this, Skraby? 49ers have 16 ties in their illustrious history.
That's
yes,
random.
there were a day when there were many ties in the NFL. All right, Tony, Skraby's on the board with the 49ers. Your turn to name one.
How about America's team?
How about the
Cowboys.
Cowboys?
How about that cowboy?
Cowboys, believe it or not, number one.
Oh,
They have the best all-time winning
That's not-
percentage
Tell me something
in
else,
regular
buddy.
season play.
I thought you were done for.
Sorry, 577 for the Cowboys. They are number one all-time in that category. All right, 15 more correct answers. Skraby.
Just trying to think of teams.
I know you are. There's 32 of them in the National
All right, let's,
Football League.
I don't remember if the Packers were
Are you
bad.
struggling already?
No.
Geez,
I'm
we're
really
early
getting in
the
my head
contest
about
here.
like were those teams terrible in the 70s and 80s?
Were
Right?
they?
That's right.
I'm gonna go with the
Were they?
Packers.
That's part of it.
I'm gonna go with the Packers.
The Pack is back, Skraby says. Yes, they were the best team in football for the first like 50 years of their
All
existence.
right, just making sure.
They're number 2
I'm
on the all-time.
overthinking this.
They're number 2 on the list behind the Cowboys. 571 win percentage for Green Bay. That is correct. 2-1 in favor of Skraby. Tony's up.
How about the Steel Curtain?
The Steel Curtain.
Steelers.
Yeah.
The Steel Curtain dominated the 70s, and they've continued to dominate since. They're not as far over the 500 mark as you might think. .537. They're 10th best all time. The thing is with the Steelers, before they won those 70s Super Bowls, they were a doormat for a long time. So the Steelers have been, picking up ground ever since. But that's a good answer. They're over, and it's 2-2, and Skraby's up.
What about the Broncos?
How about the Broncos? Interesting selection. 13th best at 521 win percentage for the Denver Broncos. That is correct.
That was
An
too close for
original
comfort.
AFL franchise. It's a little close for comfort. Yeah, you're down near the bottom, but it's a win. 3-2 for Skraby. And now it is Tony Gwynn Jr. looking to tie it back
This
up.
might seem a little weird now, but I think they were good for a while. How about the New York Football Giants?
The New York Football Giants, they are certainly 0-1 this year.
They're 100 years old, so I wasn't
But
sure.
they're old enough to be over 500. They started in 1925. That's why they were wearing those hideous uniforms the other day.
Helmets were okay.
They
Helmets were okay.
Those were hideous.
Yeah, Giants are good. 526 winning percentage, 11th best on the list. So Tony is correct. Giants are over 500. Skraby, 3-3. Remember, you can play along out there, see how many of the 17 you can get. Skraby.
Eagles.
The Eagles, an awesome franchise, but not long enough, unfortunately.
What?
The Eagles started in 1933. They currently have a record of 625 wins and 636 losses. They are under 500 at .496. That is the first strike. The Philadelphia Eagles. Not a great franchise throughout the early years. I would say probably since the 2000s, they've easily been over 500, but they got some ground to make up. Sorry, Skraby, that's a strike, and it gives Tony a chance
Don't
to
act
take
like
his
you're so
first.
happy.
I'm just doing my best Bob Barker over here. I am not happy in any way, shape, or form.
Chris laughs.
Tony, you're up. With a chance to take the lead for the first
sorry, I just
time.
got a request on tickets that I messed up.
Uh-oh. 11 incorrect answers remaining.
How about the Bears?
The Bears.
Oh.
Yeah, Bears dominated. They ruled the landscape of the NFL for many years. They're 4th best all time.
It just makes no sense to me.
.556
It just makes no
for
sense
the
to me.
former monsters of the Midway.
Bears haven't had a quarterback in like 100 years, but they've won games.
It is pretty funny. They list all the franchises here. They list top performers, and every team's got a Hall of Fame name next to it. For the Bears, Walter Payton, but then Jay Cutler is listed as a great quarterback in the Bears.
He's also a great
pantheon.
Dolphins quarterback.
Not really. All right, 4-3.
Not really.
Tony's got the lead. Skraby, you need this to get back
Oh,
even.
wow. Okay.
There are still 10 correct answers to go. You're looking for winning franchises in the National Football League.
I'm just going to go with the team that's won a lot of games as of late.
All right.
Chiefs.
The Kansas City Chiefs, a successful original AFL franchise.
Yes.
They were good in the AFL. They're good now, and they're over the 500 mark. The Chiefs are at .548. They are just ahead of the 49ers, slotting in 7th place
Of course
all
they
time. So that makes it 4-4. If this matters to you guys, you are missing the number 3 team, number 5, number 6, number 9, and then a few down the way. So there are some good teams out there, but again, 4-4 now. Tony, 9 correct answers. Well, let's see, 4 and 4, 8. Yeah, 9 to go. Tony, with no strikes. Team over 500.
How about the Pack?
The Packers. That is a rarity on this game. That is a repeat.
Oh, you already guessed them?
That is a repeat. Yes, that is.
Dang it.
That is a real rarity on this game.
It is.
In fact, it may be the first time that's happened. Yes, the Packers were already guessed by Skraby. They're the number 2 team. That will cost you a strike.
Oh, he sure
Tony.
did do that. See, my attention is diverted right
Yeah,
now. So.
well, is Skraby the one sending you a text about getting some tickets, trying to throw you off right now?
It might be him.
He's throwing you off. He's using a burner account.
Yes.
I like what you're doing, Scrape.
All right, back even now, Skraby. 4-4. Both of you have a strike. Skraby, give me a winning
been
franchise.
Really good at times. This team's been really bad at times.
And this team is
The Rams.
The Rams, the Los Angeles Rams, originally the Cleveland Rams, into St. Louis, back to L.A. They just sneak in, Skraby.
Oh, thank goodness.
They're at .506.
Wow.
They're the 17th and last team on this list. But you got them. The Rams is correct. They do have a winning record all time. You go ahead 5-4. Tony, your turn. It's getting close.
Oh, shoot. Oh. How about the Raiders?
The end of that's getting better and better.
Yes, I was hoping you would guess them just to hear you say it. Raiders are good. 519 all-time winning percentage for the silver and black. Obviously dominant mostly in the 70s, 80s, 90s, etc. That's enough to hold up at a 519 winning percentage. So that makes it 5-5. Now only 7 correct answers remaining. You're looking for a team franchise over the 500 mark all-time regular season.
Does a team that's moved count with their
You're
old
looking
team?
for the franchise. So
Okay, the franchise.
I don't know who to give, but
I
the
gotcha.
Chargers would be the LA Chargers, San Diego Chargers, and et cetera.
yeah.
Everything.
Okay, so I got to cross off the Raiders. You know what team's not been terrible a lot and makes the play? Ravens.
The Ravens.
Yeah.
That's a good guess, Skraby. They haven't been around very long. They're the 3rd best.
Wow.
567 winning percentage for a team that didn't start till 1996. That is correct. It gives you a 6-5 lead. 6 correct answers remaining, Mr. Gwynn Jr.
Who hasn't been around that long that I can cheat on?
Oh, you're trying to
I
cheat
could
with that
cheat
now.
on
You like that idea.
I do. That was a good. Oh, how about this one? This team's been around a while. How about the Minnesota Vikings?
Minnesota Vikings.
yes, purple people eater.
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Vikings are actually 9th best. Pretty good. 546 with no Super Bowl championships to show for it. They are the best team in football history that has never won the Super Bowl. They've also never won a championship of any kind. The Vikes. All right, 6-6. 5 correct answers left, Skrabe. It's getting down to the nitty-gritty here. You have number 5, number 6, number 12, number 15, and number 16 remaining.
All right, well, this team...
Each has had one incorrect answer. One strike. I don't want to go over the hour. Do you want to pause here?
No, I'll get my guesses out.
Well, I think you should hold up.
Okay.
Because, Tony, this is the start of a round.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you guys both get to think about it a little bit. There are 5 correct answers remaining. The game is tied 6-6. Both guys have one strike. You think you know the other 5 out there? Play along. More Gwynn and Chris and the wrap-up of the Fantabulous Game Show ahead. All right, heading into hour number 2 of Gwynn and Chris. Kind of a cliffhanger as we begin hour number 2 of the program today. Crisello, Tony Gwynn Jr. in Seattle. Mr. Skraby alongside in the Odyssey Palace. And we got a whole lot to get to. Of course, Padres lineup. Still waiting to see if there's any shakeups today from Mike Schilt as the Padres get set to take on the Seattle Mariners. Sam Levitt's EcoWater SoCal pregame show. Is that right? Yeah.
EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show.
That comes up at 5:30. Tony Gwynn Jr. Tony Gwynn Jr. and Jesse have the call tonight at 6:30 from Seattle.
Sam's going to be with us at 3:40.
Yes, we're going to talk to Sam a little while. We're also going to talk a little bit about this Tyreek Hill thing, which the news continues to pop out there. More is being known, and more is certainly being discussed. But you caught us in the middle of today's Fantabulous Sports Game Show, which has turned into a knockdown, drag-out affair. Matt Skraby has 6 points. Tony Gwynn Jr. has 6, and both players have a strike. There are 5 correct answers remaining in this category. Got to name the 17 teams that have an all-time winning record that is over 500 record in regular season NFL games. Now, because we had a break, I am going to go over the correct answers that have been given. I think it's only fair.
Yay.
At this point. I'm not, just because we had a long break. Dallas has been given by Tony, Green Bay by Skraby, Baltimore by Skraby, the Bears by Tony, Kansas City and San Francisco by Skraby, Minnesota, Pittsburgh by Tony, New York Giants by Tony, Denver, Skraby, the Raiders, Tony, and the Rams, Skraby. So it's 6-6. There are 5
Didn't hear that one.
It is 5 correct answers remaining. The 5 teams remaining rank 5th on this list. They rank 6th, 12th, 15th, and 16th. All 5, though, have winning records over 500. And it is Skraby's turn in this tense game.
It is tense.
Yes, and you had a little time to think about it during the break. I know you did your best to stay off the chat.
I did.
Nobody was on the computer. That would kind of wreck the whole idea of the game. Everybody out there had a little chance to think maybe what are the 5 teams they're missing? Let's see what you come up with, Skrabe, after this.
This was what I was going to answer before the break, but I'm a little... I just am not sure. I mean, they did so much winning that I would have to think they're over 500.
Okay.
But the New England Patriots.
The New England Patriots have not been guessed yet.
Yeah, I know.
Despite their 6 Super Bowl championships. That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Skraby got it. They're at .556. They are 5th best all-time in winning percentage. Largely, of course, due to what they did in the Tom Brady era. But that is the correct answer, Skraby. Puts you ahead 7-6. It leaves 4 correct answers for Tony Gwynn Jr.
4.
That is right. Tony?
We often do the football thing, and Mr. Ello, your team is always glossed over. So in this case, I'm going to pick the Miami Dolphins.
The Miami Dolphins. Seems like a good choice to me.
I mean, they've been around for a long time, but they were really bad for a long time.
They were never really bad for a long time.
This tells me all I need to know.
They
right
had
here.
one year. They had 1 year where they were 1-15. Otherwise, they've been great.
Maybe I'm jaded because Greg Camarillo has told me everything about his Dolphins days.
Yeah, his Dolphin days were not great. But the Dolphin days overall, very good. They're 6th best all-time, Scrape.
Yeah, buddy.
With all due respect, they are ahead of your 49ers in terms of all-time winning percentage, 555
with
for
all
the
due
Fish.
respect, sir.
With all due respect.
And with all due respect, Chris, 49ers have more Super Bowls, so there.
By a wide margin, yes. We have to make up 3. I'm just hoping. Hoping to make up 1.
Right.
In my lifetime.
For all the people listening, there's at least 4 times a football season where Chris and I talk about Dan Marino and how he would have been great in this day and age.
True story.
Yeah.
Tony brings it up as well, so I think it's a kind of a common topic. All right, let's go. There are 3 correct answers remaining. We're tied at 6. You've got number 12, number 15, and number 16. So these are all winning franchises, but none by a large margin. Game is coming right down to the nitty-gritty. 1 strike apiece, Skraby.
I'm going to go with a team that's not been around for that long.
All right.
The Houston Texans.
The Houston Texans.
Yes.
Is that Youston?
It was an H, pronounced as a Y.
Yeah. I'm going to have to give you the buzzer here,
Oh!
Skrabe. Texans had a good season last year. They're nowhere near it, actually.
Really?
Yeah, they're down in
That surprises me,
They're in
honestly.
29th place.
Really?
At a .431 winning
I
percentage.
mean, they had Matt Schaub and DeAndre Hopkins and Andre Johnson and
they've
Deshaun
lost,
Watson when he was good.
They've won 153. They've lost 202. So they're not really even close.
Okay.
That is
there,
strike
buddy.
2
All
on
right.
Skraby. Tony, again, can recapture the lead, but he has to come up with one of the 3 remaining over 500 franchises. Tony,
Let's try
let's try.
one of Skraby's all-time favorite teams.
Ooh.
Let's ride with the Seattle
Oh,
Seahawks.
for a second, I thought he was going to
I
repeat
thought
for
he
the
was going to say
second
the
time.
Broncos, and he was going to repeat again.
No, sir.
He said the Seahawks. All right, that causes me to recalculate. That is correct.
Oh my God! How?
Seahawks are 15th best,
How?
but they're at 518 all-time winning percentage, 393 wins, 366 losses. That is correct. Tony takes the lead. There are 2 correct answers remaining. Skraby, you're going to have to end up getting them both with a strike by Tony in between. It is 7-6. The pressure is on you, my friend. You're looking for the 12th best team of all time and the 16th best team of all time in the National Football League.
I'm going to go with the team that's been around for a long time now.
Okay?
The Commanders/Redskins?
The Commanders/Redskins, otherwise known as the WFT.
Yeah.
That's what they should be known by. All-time 629 wins for the FT. 644
No way.
losses.
Yowzers!
He just threw something across the room. Something went flying into the corner. Oh, my God, he's got a baseball bat. He's beating up the studio. That is incorrect. I'm sorry, Skraby. That is strike 3. Mr. Gwynn Jr. has prevailed in a very tense Fantabulous Sports Game Show today by a final score of 7-6.
Looks great.
Commanders just, you know why the Commanders are still under 500? They deserve to be. They were the last franchise to integrate by a wide margin. And they
I don't know what that has to do with their winning record.
Scrape, look.
what do you mean it has to do with their winning record? The other teams were
Scraby,
choosing from
look.
all the athletes for many years
This is
before
for
the
you,
Commanders
Scrape.
finally came around.
Tony's giving me the heart that they do on the base of the
Ah,
Padres.
isn't that nice? He's honoring Peter Seidler.
He is. But this is really frustrating.
Give him his
because
music.
I'm
Please.
getting there.
All right. Not quick enough, I say.
There we go.
Oh, even Chris is dancing today.
7-6 victory for Tony. You guys care to, Tony, you want to try to snag the other 2 teams that are over 500? It's not easy.
I got one in mind that hit me after.
Part of the problem is I can't really remember who we said already. Did we say? I know you said the Rams. Where are the Chargers at?
Chargers are just under. They're first on the under list at .497. The Chargers are 5 games under 500 all time.
Who else did we miss then?
We missed.
I got one.
Go ahead.
Saints?
Saints way down there.
Oh, okay.
Remember they
Because
were
they were the Aints.
They
were
had the
Aints.
trash bags,
Yeah,
right?
they were the
the
Aints.
Aints
yeah.
aren't
The Browns
there.
have to be down there. The Lions have to be down there.
The 2 teams that you didn't name, the Indianapolis/Baltimore Colts.
Oh.
Very successful for years and
about
years.
them.
Johnny Unitas, etc., and Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning?
Yeah, 525. And a team you just mentioned, and the reason you don't know these guys, the Cleveland Browns are over 500, believe it or not, but they started by going crazy. If you look up the Browns in the 50s, they were in the championship game every year.
Jim Brown?
It was even before Jim Brown. They had Otto Graham, and they were Paul Brown was ahead of his time, and the Browns built up such a huge cushion. They're still over 500. So those are the 2 you guys missed. For those who care or don't, the worst winning franchise. You guys want to try to guess that? Who's got the worst record of all time right now? .407.
How about the Orange Sickle Cats?
Yeah, the Buccaneers.
The Orange Sickle Cats.
Yeah, the Buccaneers still have the worst record of all time.
They had it
.407.
bad for a very, very long time.
They lost the first 26 games in franchise history, and I don't think they've ever quite caught up.
That's a big hole to climb out
It's
of
a
in the
big
NFL.
hole to, climb up.
That's 2 years of losses.
Yes, they were 0-14, followed by 0-12 when they started their franchise. They finally beat the Cardinals, I think, to win their first game.
Did Steve Young play with them in the NFL or the AFL?
Yeah, no, they weren't in the AFL.
Okay,
The
well,
Tampa
then that
Bay
answers my
Buccaneers
question.
came in 1976, well after the leagues had merged. The Bucks and the Seahawks came in the same year. As I said, 1976. The Jaguars and Panthers both came in 95. Neither of those are over the 500 mark. Mentioned the Ravens, 1996. The newest franchise is the Texans, 2002. All right, very good, guys. Good game. How'd
Good
you
game.
do out there?
Yeah, good game, Tony.
Oh, Skraby.
I didn't mean that as a shot.
I gotta say one
didn't
thing.
think- I didn't. No, to me, I took it that way, but I know you didn't mean it that way.
No, you always are an outstanding foil for this game.
You are.
You know, there's
'Cause
no
if
question.
This game would not actually be worth doing as much as I win if they weren't like close
Yeah.
victories.
James
a
Bond.
majority of time.
James Bond would be nothing without Dr. No. You know, you
Are
gotta
you
have
sure about that?
you gotta have the adversary on the other side
I
to make it work.
I'm really mad at myself for this one because I thought this was a good shot.
Thought
Yeah,
you, I think it
definitely
came
had a
right
good
down
shot.
to it. Came right down to it. All right, we're gonna take
definitely had a
a
good shot.
break. We got Tyreek Hill in our sights.
Oh, I'm
when
being
we
called
come
a
back.
sore loser now on the chat.
You
Like,
threw something into the corner over
You
there.
did.
Was
at least it was
Yeah.
the corner, and I didn't actually hit you with the baseball bat.
I mean, that's
you-
that's a low bar. Not to hit somebody after you lost, I think that's a little bit of a low bar to set there.
Fine.
You're
But,
proud
you
of
know.
yourself that you didn't hit me over the head with a wooden bat?
For 1 second, there was a thought of I should just do this.
Oh my goodness! Can you imagine just blood pouring down my face as I try to do the rest of the show?
Right.
It would
Laugh
be
at
the
you.
end of it would be the end of Gwynn Chris, that's for sure.
I
If you
wouldn't
beat-
have-
Well, it would be the end of Gwynn, Chris, and Skraby, that's for sure.
I would put a crimp in the Skraby part of things. Let's check a little traffic for you, then come on back with us. This Tyreek Hill thing is getting bigger and bigger. We got some thoughts.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center.
Back at you again, Gwynn and Chris, Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Skraby. Been rolling through baseball pretty much all show. Time to switch gears a little bit. I mean, we talked a little NFL, but we haven't delved into this topic. Probably outside of the actual games, the biggest topic perhaps in sports this weekend, Tyreek Hill arrested hours before kickoff. And, it's one of those situations again, a man of color and police officers get into a situation that I'm sure neither side wanted to be involved in as a whole. But here we are. And I think you can't have this conversation without starting with, obviously initially when it was reported, people had their ideas and thoughts on it, as I think we all do. But I think we're also all smart enough now to know, let's wait and see how this thing kind of unfolds. And I think at this point there's been body cam shown. Everybody's seen it and been able to make a better assessment of it. I think when it was all said and done, Tyreek Hill was charged with reckless driving, or I should say speeding with, I believe was a visual view of 60 miles per hour. In other words, no radar gun was involved. And driving without a seatbelt was what he was officially charged with. Now, immediately after all this happened, one of the police officers was put on,
administrative leave.
Administrative leave.
Right.
As they begin to investigate this. It's unfortunately a story we've kind of heard before. For that infraction, those infractions, Tyreek Hill was pulled out of his car, handcuffed, and then put down on the curb.
Yeah.
With they roughed him up a little bit. And so, Chris, I turn to you. I think you guys know how I feel about this at this point. These situations should not be turning to what they turned into, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention, he's going into a place that he's working, and listen, whether he skipped the line or not, I don't know that it should. I know that it shouldn't have garnered the reaction that it garnered. Now, in the video, there's when at least when it picks up, license and registration's been exchanged. After, at least the part I saw, after that's handed to him, Tyreek Hill rolls his window back up. That didn't sit well with the police officer. He has tinted windows, so you could maybe see the initial reaction, but I don't know that he felt like Tyreek was a threat. I think at this point, and they may not know who he was. Eventually, they figured out who he was after a couple more teammates showed up, and one was put in cuffs, and they got it sorted out. But that's when it kind of all escalated. The window rolled up. The Aston rolled it down. He rolled it about a quarter of the way down, then halfway down. Then that turned into open the car, get out. We're going to have an issue.
Yeah. A few things, Tony, to unpack here for sure. And you weren't with us yesterday. But Skraby and I, we did our best to talk about this before we had all of the information, which is always, as you said, a dangerous thing to do. The only thing I did yesterday was I cautioned everybody who had rushed to judgment that Tyreek Hill had seen a video of Tyreek Hill face down on the blacktop with his hands cuffed, and the horrified thought that provided to all of us. I just cautioned everybody to wait till everything came out, because maybe the officer was in a situation where they felt threatened, and if that was the case, we could at least try to understand that side of the story. That's all I said yesterday. But as we were going off the air, the body camera footage came out, and I think it was clear. A couple of things. Tyreek Hill did not 1,000% cooperate, but he, I think, had a very good explanation for why he wanted to keep his window mostly up, and that's because he knew that everyone driving by would know who that was. Right. And he didn't want to create a bigger disturbance than there was. So the fact that he didn't 100% cooperate, maybe the officer didn't understand why at the time, no matter what you say, it did not require that kind of response from the police officers. And in my mind, at this point, Tony, armed with a lot more information than I certainly had yesterday, I think that administrative leave needs to transfer to full-time leave. And, any officer that was involved in this situation, I'm sorry. These are kinds of things that we cannot have anymore moving forward, whether it's a high-profile person like Tyreek or just some guy off the street. And I want to compare to George Floyd, but I'm sorry. I'm sure a lot of people, when you see the knee of that officer in Tyreek Hill's back, unfortunately, these are the kind of thoughts that come to mind, and I just pray that those thoughts never have to come to mind again.
Yeah. No, I think when in this situation, man, like I said, we've unfortunately had these conversations before on our show, and I think the initial reaction that you had, right, and this is what happens when you've been in trouble before, is that initial grace is a little bit clouded because there has been times where Tyreek has been out of pocket, or some would say a knucklehead at times, right? Or he's done things that he shouldn't be doing, and so because he's had these past things that have happened, he doesn't get the immediate grace that some would get, and I think that was probably why people were like didn't rush to judgment immediately, or did rush to judgment, depending on where you were coming from.
Right, but you didn't immediately. We did not come out yesterday and immediately defend Tyreek Hill, and that's because his past suggested that there was room for doubt. But once you find out what really happened, there's no room for doubt in my mind any longer.
It's gone. It's gone. And in some cases, I think Tyreek made this point after the game, like, how different could that have been if he wasn't Tyreek Hill, right? Like, could that have escalated to something a lot worse if an officer didn't recognize who he was at that time? It's just, in this instance, it certainly seemed like there was a couple. There was about 4 or 5 officers there. It certainly seemed like at least 2 of them were, I don't know. They were overdoing whatever they called themselves doing for sure. And so this investigation will unfold as it begins to kind of reveal itself. I mean, you've already had the Miami Dolphins with a pretty strong condemnation of what happened with the Miami-Dade police officers, which, from NFL owner standpoint, that ain't the waters that they wade into very often. I was honestly kind of surprised to see where the Dolphins released the pointed statement that they released about the situation. I didn't expect that, but as you said, you kind of knew something was up when the police department reacted as quickly as they did in terms of administrative leave. That's not something that usually happens right away like that. And so here we are today with a lot more information than we didn't when you guys spoke. You guys spoke about it yesterday, or
like literally 10 minutes later, the body cam footage came out. So it was a great conversation for us.
Look, but it needed to be had. We didn't know when the footage was going to come out, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody tried to think of it from both sides before you decided.
Now here, I agree. The cops were way too much. No one should ever be pulled out of a car like that. And I'm not saying that Tyreek is I can't say that Tyreek is completely 100% off the hook. And Stephen A. Smith said this morning on Get Up. And he said that even though the actions of the officers were wrong, not rolling down your window is a problem because of the tinting of the windows, and a police officer may feel like they don't know what you're doing inside of the car.
That's true.
And so they can't see whether or not you're grabbing a weapon or what you're doing.
That's why I said that when I was explaining it about his tinted windows, like that you could see a scenario in which a police officer would feel uncomfortable about what's going on.
But once the windows are open and it's rolled down, and you don't need to pull them out of the car at that point.
No,
I don't believe you need to say things like, You do what we tell you to do,
No,
not
you're
what
right.
you think you should do. I
You're
mean,
right.
these kinds of things didn't need to be said at that point.
Absolutely.
Right?
These cops, police officers, did a bad job, and they should be handled accordingly. I'm not saying that Tyreek Hill deserved any of this. I just think some of it could have been avoided, but
For sure. For sure. When this broke on the NFL show, the ESPN Countdown, before the game started, it was interesting to see their reaction as they were getting. Because how ironic is it that my man for ESPN has been on both scenes for
Darlington.
Scotty Scheffler, Darlington, and for this one.
Yeah.
By the way, I think we should try to get him on the show.
Okay.
I think we got.
He's
think
got
we
an
got some
interesting
connects
story
there.
now.
He has been on both of these and has been. I mean, he got. I think he got the agent like 10 minutes after all of it happened. So he's been on his game, but you hate to see these type of stories really unfold the way they did, and we'll move on from it. It didn't seem like Tyreek was too rattled about it, because he certainly went out and put on a hell of a show on the football field.
Now,
There
what do
was
you
some
think about
concern.
his celebration?
Well, what did you think he was going to do?
I
after
didn't
being
know. I didn't
put in
think
handcuffs
about
for speeding and not having a seatbelt on. You knew he was going to take a victory lap somewhere.
I mean,
And,
it was
the
hilarious.
the football stage is probably like the only stage where you get like a moment to do something like that and kind of make light of it. But
Jalen Waddle's in on it. It was pretty.
either
good.
way, although Tyreek certainly didn't help the situation, by no means did he deserve to be handled the way he was handled.
And
I just
yes.
to me, those guys show up to that park however many games of the year. You got to know that they're coming to go to work. Like, what was the real, like?
Well,
what
and
was
they didn't
the
even have
reason?
it on radar. They I didn't
That's
know
what
that
I'm
until
saying.
this morning.
It was just a visual 60.
I didn't know you could pull over someone for that.
I didn't know that you could do that either. But I don't know. It's what it is.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill never goes slower than 60 miles an hour.
His name
driving
is Cheetah.
or running.
His name is Cheetah. You can't slow the guy down.
That's right.
All right, let's good discussion. Let's step away, take a break. When we come back, we'll get set for Mr. Sam Levitt.
On Wednesday's show, we'll break down Game 1 between the Padres and the Mariners, plus Scott Miller joins
All right, here we are. Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports talk station. 97.3 The Fan. That's where you can catch Padre baseball a little bit later on this evening. Padres taking on the Seattle Mariners. Big game. Big doings tonight, Skrabe.
That's right.
Got to have it. Got to have them now. No time for, let's just ease into a winning streak. It's a sprint. 17 games to go. Padres trying to hang on to one of those wild card spots. Right now they have the top wild card spot. But Diamondbacks are a half game back. Mets are 1.5 back. And the Braves are 2.5 back. It's tight. All right, Tony's off. Getting some pregame info from Mike Schilt. We have our own pregame info from Mike Schilt to pass along to you in the form of an interesting Padres starting lineup. We'll get that to you right in a moment. But first, we got to check traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Air Max, San Diego's highest-rated heating and air company. Visit them at airmax.com. Yeah, we got a few problems here, guys. Northbound side of the 805 before Home Avenue. Two-vehicle accident over to the right shoulder. Also, westbound 8 Waring Road off-ramp. There is a collision that's over to the right shoulder. You'll find on the southbound 15 before the 163 accident over to the right shoulder. And traveling on eastbound King Freeway, accident clearing up right before the 125. Looking for the best in HVAC? Choose Air Max, San Diego's highest-rated heating and air company with free diagnostics on all repairs and estimates. See why over 1,300 happy customers have given Air Max 5-star Yelp reviews. See Air Max today at airmax.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, as we get to the lineup, Skraby's got to play the music or I can't read the lineup. That's the law. We bring in our expert on Padre baseball, the host of the Padres pre- and post-game show, Mr. Sammy Levitt, is in studio with us.
Hi,
Sammy,
guys.
appreciate it, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well.
Good. A couple of things before we get into what's really important. Haven't had a chance to say this on air, but real good job sitting in for Jesse Agler.
Oh, thank you,
And
Chris.
doing a couple of ball games. I know that was something you're looking forward to. I tuned in. You played some of your highlights, and you were really on point. And everybody I've talked to has said the same thing. Like I haven't run into anybody who said, oh, man, that was kind of, tough to listen to.
Except for when we did Rate the Radio call with Sammy.
Well, we picked you apart a little bit. But
That's
hey,
okay.
I thought you were great, and congrats on those. Hopefully there'll be some more. I'm sure there will be. Secondly, funniest moment of the weekend, and it was, long weekend. Skraby sends out a tweet that says, everybody out there knows how much I hate Chris's crackers that he eats in studio all the time. I'm sitting at the Padre game Friday night, minding my own business in the press box, and up walks Sammy Levitt eating those very same crackers.
I don't think they're the same crackers.
But
I think
close enough.
they're slightly different.
Close
crackers.
enough that
they are Trader Joe's crackers.
There
They
you
look
go.
exactly the same except
They're
for a
similar.
different shade of color.
different shades.
Well, I'm trying to stay away from the press box snacks. The
That's a good move.
cookies,
That's
the
a good
chips,
move, yeah.
the hot dogs.
yeah, after a
the
long
nachos.
season, that adds
What
up.
what I've been trying to do is bring my own snacks, like some pretzels,
There you go.
those crackers,
Some of
because
those healthy
they're a little
crackers.
bit
That's
less
why
caloric.
That's why I eat them on the show. Those healthy crackers. But Sam, I loved it, and anything that kind of bothered Skraby to no end, I thought was hilarious.
Yeah,
So
we had a good
thank you for
time.
doing
Whenever Skraby's there, and
Yeah.
I get a chance to sit next to
that.
him,
The
we have a
party's
good
on.
time. Yes.
The party's on.
Yes.
When
It
I
was
think
very fun.
Skraby, I think party.
Yeah.
Me too.
It used to be a lot different of a party.
Yes,
but
the party
it's,
starts and used to end with you, but
and now I go to bed at 10 p.m. That's
not
the
anymore.
party.
All right, I'm glad you're in here, Sammy, because we do have a Padre lineup. And one of the things that I'm sure you've been mentioning on the pre- and post-game show, it's been in the newspapers quite a bit. I know a lot of fans online have been guessing that this, may be about to happen or should happen. It has happened. Xander Bogaerts is moving back to shortstop, at least for the time being. He is starting at shortstop tonight with Luis Arraez still DHing, but Donovan Solano moving into first base. Padres getting the bat of Solano into the lineup. Mason McCoy is the odd man out in this. But I don't believe, really, Sam, this is a reaction to losing 3 or 4 games as much as it is a nod to what we may be seeing going forward, because we just don't know, apparently, when Ha-Seong Kim is coming back.
Yeah, I think that's where you have to start with it, right? Is I think if Ha-Seong were going to have missed just, let's say, the 10 days of the IL stint,
Right.
I understood the Padres and maybe also Xander Bogaerts' reluctantness to move him off second base. But I do think it becomes a very different conversation when, number one, Ha-Seong has been out a while now, and
It's almost a month.
Well, yeah, and
It's a week short of a month.
and
right
we
now.
learned over the weekend that he is not progressing as they hoped he would. Now, what does that exactly mean? I'm not totally sure. Does that mean he's going to miss another week or two, or does that mean it's going to be more of an extended absence? We don't know the answer to that yet. But I think for that reason, and also the Padres need to prioritize, with as close as this race is right now, putting their best offensive lineup on the field day in, day out. They have a player in Xander Bogaerts who has plenty of experience at playing shortstop. I understand some of the reluctantness, a few weeks ago to move back to short. I get it. I give Xander all the credit in the world for transitioning to second base as seamlessly as he did, doing what they asked him to do during spring training. But we're in September, and he's a guy who can certainly play shortstop, and I think this lineup becomes a lot deeper when you have Solano or Peralta in the lineup every day, and this is the way they can achieve that. And also, if you are looking at an extended absence here, even beyond what it's been for Ha-Seong Kim, this is sort of the solution.
And I think to tag on to that, what I mentioned a little earlier, Sam, is that if indeed Ha-Seong Kim is not coming back, and you don't know whether he'll be back for the postseason, assuming you make it, do we really want Xander Bogaerts' first game at shortstop to be in the postseason?
That's a good point.
Let's let him play the
point.
last 3 weeks at shortstop and get back comfortable there.
Yeah.
Because you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You get him some work at short. You get Solano's bat in the order. This is a move that has been, whispered about here for a few days, and it's become a reality. And Tony mentioned, earlier on, with us here, that if he sees Xander Bogaerts' name in a lineup, that's going to get him thinking that Ha-Seong Kim is not coming back anytime soon. They would not put Bogaerts in just for a day or two.
Yeah.
And then say, oh, Ha-Seong's back, so we're going to flip it around. No, they would not do that. So I got to believe that Mike Shilton, he'll be asked about it in the pregame, and we'll get you his comments as soon as we have them. But I got to believe that this nod to Bogaerts at shortstop also means, we're not going to see Ha-Seong Kim for at least a pretty, there's only 3 weeks left. I'd say his return this season is up in the air at best.
I think it's fair speculation. I think on both fronts. Number one, the fact that Ha-Seong is not progressing as they would have hoped. He was trying at least to make throws across the diamond this weekend. Apparently that did not go as well as they would have liked. And look, you said it. The playoffs start 3 weeks from today.
Yeah.
So not only are you dealing with getting him right physically, but then you're dealing with getting him ramped back up to playing as meaningful of games as you can play in this sport, talking about the final week of the season into the postseason. So I'm with you. Again, we don't know for sure if Ha-Seong isn't going to come back this year, but you would imagine, based on what we know and what's been said, that it's unlikely they're making this move if they don't believe there's a real chance that Xander's going to have to play over there at least for a while.
Yeah.
It would appear that way to me. So I think that is fair speculation.
Here's the other thing that we were keeping an eye on today, and that was whether or not Mike Shildt would react to the slump of Jurickson Profar by maybe moving him down in the order and sliding somebody else up. He has not done that. Profar stays in the number 3 spot tonight. Arraez will be leading off at DH. Fernando, Profar, Machado, Cronenworth, Bogarts at shortstop, Merrill batting 7th still, Donovan Solano at first base, and Kyle Higashioka catching. That is the 9 tonight for the Padres. What would you do with Profar? This is a tough one because he's been deserving of this by the way he's played all year. But we don't really have time for him to get back, the magic back. We need it back now. And, he's right in the middle of this lineup, and it hasn't been working for him.
Yeah, it's a fair question. And Craig and Annie asked me basically the same thing earlier. And the first thing they asked me was about Merrill. Would I move Merrill up? I understand the thinking, and maybe as we get into the final few weeks here, maybe there's a real argument to that. I wouldn't touch Merrill. I think he's been so good where he's hit in the lineup all year, and I just that kid has been so exceptional that I wouldn't tinker with it. Now, if you want to flip, let's say, Cronenworth and Profar and try that, sure. Look, I'm not pushing the emergency button with Profar. I think at the very least, even though he's not hitting particularly well, he still gives you a good at bat. He still does get on base. I mean, if you look at his on base percentage, whatever it might be, the last 8-9 games, as he continues to not hit a ton, still gets on base, he still walks. So it's not like he's, up there with no shot to get on base. I do understand it, though, especially when you have Arise hitting as well as he is, and Arise is a guy who's not going to, for the most part, hit it out of the ballpark. He's going to be on base, so it creates RBI opportunities. So, look, if today Cronenworth was batting 3rd, or look, if they wanted to do something like put Merrill towards the top of the lineup, I'd understand it. They haven't really shown that, in the Merrill part of it, they haven't really shown that propensity to want to do that, right? Because they've had some opportunities where they could have. So, look, one way or another, no matter where he's sitting, if it's 3rd or if it's 5th or wherever, getting Profar going again, that would be a big key here.
Yeah, it would be. And the other thing about Merrill, batting 7th, don't know why this is. It's not a magic trick. But whenever they're down by a run in the 9th inning, he always seems like he's coming up. Merrill, I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So leave him where he is. Where do you think Fernando is? It's not fair to be overly critical concerned. After all, he didn't have any rehab assignment. Came right back to work. He's 6 for 24 since he came back. That's 250. 2 doubles, 1 RBI. And the RBI we know was the game-winning RBI. Obviously, 3 weeks to go into the playoffs. The real Fernando needs to step up. But we kind of have to be patient too and understand that it's not that easy.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody wants to hear it, but I agree with you. I think you got to be a little patient. I mean, he missed over 2 months. We know the injury is not still fully healed. Okay, he says he feels good, and I think he's moved well too. But we know it's not fully healed, and there was no rehab assignment. I mean, he did take at-bats in Arizona and got plenty of at-bats, but, there's a difference between taking at-bats in Peoria and taking at-bats in the major leagues. So I'm not shocked that it's been a bit of a slow start since he's come back. How many games has he played? 5? I mean, I can't get too crazy about what Fernando hasn't done so far. And by the way, he's had a few hits. He had the walk-off hit. He had the double in a pinch hit spot. What was that on Saturday? Mm-hmm. So he's had a couple of moments, but look, you're right. We are at a time of year, whether we're talking about Profar or Tatis or Yu Darvish or really anybody, no matter how much time you've missed and where you're at, we're at the time of year. It's time to go, and you need your best. So it's just quite simply that time of year, and even somebody like Fernando, look, I get it. It's a process of working your way back, getting the timing back, but they need him to be the Fernando they know he can be for sure.
Sam Levitt, pre- and post-game, Padres baseball. What do you expect from Darvish tonight, his second start? I thought his first one was fine. I know he gave up a couple runs. He wasn't really sharp, but he got through it. He wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
And he's ready to go tonight, but I don't know if you can ask for more than 5 innings tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he threw 63 pitches his last time. So let's say that's somewhere in the 70s here tonight, maybe close to 80, if all goes well. Yeah, I mean, 5 innings would be great. I think, number one, effectiveness, being a little bit more effective than what he was in the first one back, and then just more pitches and going deeper into the game. Look, you're going to have a very fresh bullpen the next 2 days. You had an off day yesterday and off day Thursday, so they're going to be able to use their pen how they want it. So I'm not super concerned about the pitch count for Darvish today, but you just want him to be effective and continue to feel good and be healthy. And I'll tell you what, we'll get more into it during the pregame show, but this Mariners offense is not good.
Yeah.
So
That's what we heard last time.
They weren't good the last time they got here, and they won both games.
This should be an opponent that Darvish could take advantage of a little bit. We'll see. You're right. There's no guarantee of that.
All right, and before I let you go, Musgrove, tough outing, or at least a tough inning the other day. Here's the other guy that's coming off a tough inning. And this worries me just because I'm a worrying sort. Robert Suarez has not pitched since the Grand Slam.
Yeah.
That's not his fault. It just hasn't worked out. I would have rather him have a chance to erase that memory. You know, I hope he gets a chance tonight, but, you know, I'm going to be kind of on edge a little bit until he gets through the next inning.
I'm not super worried about Suarez. It seems like when he's struggled, it has come at times where he's been used a lot. Okay. So aside from that, this guy has been pretty dynamite. I'm really not at the point with Suarez where I'm concerned. Look, the facts are the facts. He is at a career high in innings in the major leagues. You know, let's see how he bounces back. I really, even after the Grand Slam the other night, I was not ready to push the panic button on Robert Suarez. I think with a little rest, my belief is he's going to be just fine. It seems like these struggles have come when he gets used a lot, and maybe that was a little bit of a lesson for the Padres and how they use him the rest of the way.
We didn't even ask him about his fantasy football team.
I'm not going to rub it in. I already lost a tough game. I know he lost a tough game.
The Jets, they lose to begin with. You know, they lose me fantasy too because they can't get Zerline a field goal. They can't get a 2-point conversion.
You wanted me to ask him
I believe the Jets are going to be fine this year as long as Rodgers stays healthy. But for week 1, in my book, same old Jets.
He texted me this morning, Chris, and he was like, wait a second, I lost. I thought I won. So I was going through the breakdown of the game. I was like, how did he lose? And yeah, we're going to go over, but it's okay. And he was like, no, wait. They didn't get the 2-point conversion, and they didn't hit a PAT.
It all went against you. There's no question.
I think it said win probability 100%, and I logged off. But didn't look at the score, but I think that was because they were assuming they were going to get an extra point or a 2-point. I had Zerline, too. I had the Jets kicker.
You did.
So
he could have had Sam could have won so many different ways, and that is a really tough way to start your fantasy season.
The Jets.
Yeah. My wife was the beneficiary of that one. She was excited when she found out today somehow she had won.
Well, congratulations to Lori.
All right.
I think
I'm happy
Sam
for her. I'm happy for her.
I think Sam and I in the offseason, Sammy's going to come on for like a late week edition of Talking NFL when the Padres season's over.
To.
Why not? Why not? He loves his football.
He does.
But most of all, listen to his pregame show tonight. Whatever it is that ails the Padres, he will have an answer for it and get it fixed.
Not ailing.
Because, they've lost 3 or 4. Because as we know, where Sammy goes, the champagne flows. Right on into this break.
You go.
which is where the Padres will be meeting the Mariners tonight. Matt Skraby alongside here in the Odyssey Palace studios. Going till about 5:30 today, and then it will be Sam Levitt will come back. He's here. He left. He'll be coming back, and he'll be getting you ready for tonight's game with the Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show. We got a little Chris versus the fans coming up here. Chance for you to qualify for glorious prizes. Today, the qualification is a grand prize, 2-night stay at the Wynn or the Encore Hotel in Vegas, plus 2 tickets to see the great show Awakening. Thrilling spectacle. It dazzles audiences with soaring aerialists, bounding acrobats. High. Who writes this stuff? Do you?
Probably the people.
I don't know.
The Awakening people?
Maybe.
Why are you upset with them?
I'm not. I just want to know who.
Wasn't me.
I was wondering, are you the one using the phrase bounding acrobats?
No, but I would love to be able to use
Yes.
that
How about
phrase.
high energy choreography and comedic moments?
I did write that part.
Yeah. At the heart of this compelling story, a hero must confront the forces of light and darkness
Ooh.
in a quest to save the world. Isn't that what it's all about? It's a mythic adventure. It unfolds set amid the most technologically immersive theater ever designed. So you got to see that show, and you can get 2 tickets to it and a chance to stay at the Wynn or the Encore. But you got to beat me and Chris versus the fans.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself,
Howdy do.
now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right. Chris mowed through everyone yesterday.
I thought you were going to do.
Absolutely.
Thought you were going to do your Jim Carrey there.
What? What do you mean?
All righty then.
Oh, growing up, I didn't really like Ace Ventura. I know that's it's a sin.
It's okay.
It's a cardinal sin.
Man, it's not for everyone, just 99% of the people.
I know.
Most people like Ace Ventura.
I really like the second one where he has
you
to
did.
come out of the rhino, the fake rhino's rear end.
Didn't enjoy that one nearly as much as the Dan Marino
What about
version.
the Mask? Do you like the Mask, the movie?
That was a little early. Too early Jim Carrey for me.
Okay.
Wasn't ready for him yet.
Dumb and Dumber?
Yeah, Dumb and
Okay.
Dumber. I mean, come on.
All right, here we go with the the rules. You have to make it through 3 questions. Each question's going to get more difficult. If you get the question right, you move on. If you get it wrong and Chris gets it right, you're eliminated. But if Chris gets it wrong, then you move on to the next question or you win. And if you're a first-time player, let us know before you get to the first question. We'll give you that question for free. You start on question number 2. Chris vs. the Fan is presented by SD Fat Loss. Lose 20 to 30 pounds in just 60 days. Visit sdfatloss.com to schedule your free consultation.
By the way, before we get into this, I'd like you to look into hiring a copyright infringement lawyer.
Uh-oh, why?
And I think, we could do worse. We're going to sue ESPN.
Uh-oh.
Here is a promotion for their story on the NFL from week 1.
Okay.
On the front of their webpage here, it says, the good, the bad, and the ugly from
What?
week 1. Which team should panic? How dare they use our title to recap week 1?
That is crazy. We need to get into this, and we need
Told
to figure
you,
it out.
get a lawyer. I don't
Man.
believe we
We
claimed
have-
it, but
No,
I don't
we
really
didn't
like
claim
them
it.
using our term without my knowledge.
I'm gonna take this up.
I
with
know
the
you
courts.
already don't like ESPN, so
I don't.
I'm giving you more reason to dislike the entertainment and sports programming network.
Although I am happy now that we have a good Monday Night Football broadcast crew with Joe Buck
It is
and
great.
Troy Aikman.
It is great to have Joe. And
Did you watch any of the Manning
Troy.
cast? I can't do it.
I don't watch the Manning cast.
I know. It's funny. I watch clips after the fact, but I can't do it during the
But you
game.
know what? They show the best parts of it, but I'm not willing to sit there for 3.5 hours to get the 3 good parts.
Yeah,
I got to say, I think Peyton Manning is funny when he reads written copy. I think Eli's similar. Like on Saturday Night Live, perfect for those 2 guys. They're great at it. They're not that great off the cuff. They're okay, but they're not great. I've watched the Manning cast. It's not written for them.
But if he has a script, it's all good.
Agreed.
Peyton Manning is my Manning is my favorite new one.
He's got is that a commercial where he's painting?
It says
Peyton Manning.
on the he paints on there Peyton Manning, and it's fine.
I've tried to watch the Manning cast. It doesn't work for me.
Me too. All right, here we go into the first contestant, which will be, let's see, the first name I saw was Tanner. So let's go to Tanner. Hello, Tanner.
Hey,
Tanner.
Is this Tanner?
you got me?
Yeah, you're a Jew, unless your name Tanner.
Let's do it.
All
Let's
right.
do it, man.
Okay,
All right.
he's ready.
Here we go. Question number 1. What Major League Baseball team has hit the most home runs so far this season?
This year, Major League
year?
team.
Yes, up to this point.
I want to say Baltimore. I feel like the Yankees are right there, but I'm gonna stick with Baltimore.
Okay, Baltimore.
It's not
there.
the O's.
Stay there.
I was gonna say the Yankees. So I'll stick with that. Yankees.
I'm sorry, Tanner. That's
It
really
is the
unfortunate.
Yankees.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it was
Tanner.
the Yankees.
I
The
think
Orioles were second.
It's a 50-50. They're the top two then. you
Yeah,
say.
Orioles were second. So,
No.
all right, next
Have
contestant.
the White Sox hit are they in double figures yet in the home run department?
No, I think they're still at 9,
The White
Chris.
Sox.
What is their record right now?
They're currently 33 and 112.
I think they won on Sunday or something.
Maybe.
That's bad. All right, next contestant, Kevin in Oceanside. Hello, Kevin.
Hi guys.
Kevin, good to have you back.
I don't know if I can play again today.
You could play. Did you win? You didn't win yesterday, right?
No, sir.
Okay.
well,
yes,
we'll have you
can,
play
you
one
can
more
play
time.
back to back.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. Let's see. What is the team name for the Connecticut WNBA team?
The Lightning.
The Lightning. Stay there,
It is a
Kevin.
weather-related answer, but it's not correct. They're the Sun. We're trying to get all of you people to, get into a
Sorry,
little
Kevin.
WNBA now.
Well, the Connecticut Sun makes 0 sense to me.
You know why it's called that?
No.
That's the name of a huge gambling casino there in wherever they play, Hartford or somewhere. And I believe, don't hold me to this, but the gambling casino is big ownership of the team.
Ah, well, there you go.
So it's a two-way street there.
I mean, it makes absolutely no
Casino
sense
gave them a bunch of money.
Well,
they
yes.
named their team after the casino.
Because I can guarantee you that there's not much
Not a
sun
whole lot of sun in Connecticut
during
Yeah,
the winter.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry about that,
Kevin.
Kevin.
Kevin
Let's
was
go to
out
our
there.
next contestant. We're going to go to Rod, our guy Rod from the chat. Hello,
Hey, Rod. What's up, buddy?
Hey, hello. How are you? Hello, and how are you, Matt Skraby?
I'm
love
doing
you guys.
great.
It's been a while, and I can't wait to play. Shout out the chat real quick before they get mad at me.
They will get mad at Rod for not shouting out the chat. You shouted it out. You're good. Here we go.
What's
Question
meaner,
number 1.
the chat or just like Twitter in general? Like, is the
both.
chat mean?
Depends.
Really?
Depends.
Okay.
Depends on where your opinion is. If it's in line with theirs, you're good. But they will attack you.
They will
Chris.
attack if they
Yes.
don't. Okay, I got you.
All right, here we go. Question number 1, Rod. What state did Jackson Merrill grow up in?
Oh, that would be the great state of Maryland.
Maryland is correct. The great state of Maryland.
I believe it's the Commonwealth of Maryland. But
Is it?
I don't know if Maryland's a
It might
Commonwealth
be.
or not.
It might be.
It might be. But anyway, good for you.
Rod's off to a good
Rod,
start.
you got number 1.
Here's question number 2. Whoops, that's a buzzer.
You got that? You got it right already. Way to go, Rod. That's 2. One more, and he's got the prize.
All right, here we go. Ooh, video game question. Who is the only player to be featured on the cover of MLB The Show 2 years in a row?
2 years in a row.
Yes.
I'm going to talk this one out like Hello does. 2 years ago, we were in a pandemic. And I think that the answer is, I'm going to say Ken Griffey Jr.
Ooh,
I
Ken
like
Griffey Jr.
I like the answer. No.
Stay there, Rod.
2 years in a row. Why would that? I'm trying to figure out what the reasoning for anybody to be on there 2 years in a row.
Actually,
would
I
be.
don't know. I'm gonna have to go look this up later.
You know, I'm trying to I can't ask for hints. I was trying to figure out if it makes any sense. I don't know. I don't follow the video game at all. You know that. I thought Ken Griffey was a great guest outside Barry Bonds. I don't know.
He was on the cover of one, I think, in like 2007.
Not
Correct.
All right.
For some reason, Joe Mauer was on the cover
Was
twice.
he really?
2 years in a row, 2010, 2011.
How about
Did he win
that?
back-to-back MVPs?
Not that I know of. No, I
Okay.
think he might have won one.
That
But
is
very
weird.
good, Rod. You're still alive.
Yes.
On to the final.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Here we go. Question number 3, Rod. You get this right or Chris gets it wrong, and you're qualified for Las Vegas. There have been 2 players to have caught at least 1 touchdown and throw at least 1 touchdown in a Super Bowl. Name both. There are 2 players to have caught at least 1 touchdown and throw at least 1 touchdown in the same game in the Super Bowl. Name both.
Man, I think of our good friend, our Del Mar resident, Drew Brees. I think about him when you say that.
Okay.
But Bugs Bunny was the first one that I thought of. You know, he throws to himself, he catches to himself.
So Bugs.
Let me stick with Drew Brees.
Drew Brees and Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny.
Stay there, Rod.
Can't believe he didn't get it. All right. Well, this is a bit of a stab. I need to hear the question to make sure I'm hearing it right.
Okay. There have been 2 players in Super Bowl history to have caught at least 1 touchdown and thrown at least 1 touchdown in the same game.
All right. Nick Foles is one.
Okay.
Because he was on the Philly special play for the Eagles. And I think they showed a highlight of the other one last night. But I don't remember if he caught one last year. But I know Greg Jennings threw one. So I'll try Greg Jennings.
You're so close,
No.
Rod. You had the right last name. You had the wrong first name.
Who is it?
Greg Jennings is retired. It's Juwan Jennings. I'll give
That's
it to
fair.
Rod, but I will also say that Chris was close enough.
Close enough, but that's a win for you, Rod. And
Nice
what's his
job.
name? It's Juwan Jennings.
Juwan
Okay.
Jennings, yes, he
Yeah.
did catch a
Did-
touchdown.
What's the other one? Did I say Greg Jennings? Did he wear 85
Stay
too?
there, Rod.
Greg Jennings for the 49ers?
Well,
I honestly think they're the same guy. I didn't know there was a
Juwan
different
Jennings
guy.
wears number 15.
Got it. Okay.
Greg Jennings played for the Packers, I think.
All right. So I'm way off. But
Yeah, you're
Juwan
close
Jennings
enough.
is the other guy.
You're close
Okay.
enough.
I was in the hunt. Rod, you got it. Stay on the line. You are today's winner in Chris versus the fans. You are going to have a chance to go to the Win or the Encore in Las Vegas to see the show Awakening and stay the night, 2 nights actually, in Sin City. Congratulations, Rod. We'll have another round of Chris versus the fans tomorrow. One thing we did not do in the 3 o'clock hour because the Fantabulous Sports Game Show ran over today is get into our daily gambit. So we'll take a little peek at that after traffic as Gwynn and Chris continue.
From
All right, welcome back to Gwynn and Chris, 421 the time. Congrats to Rod. One on a technicality. No, it wasn't a technicality. I should have just said Jennings. I might have gotten away with it.
You could have.
But I said Greg Jennings, and it's Jawan Jennings of the Niners who caught and threw a touchdown pass last year in the Super Bowl, joining Nick Foles as the only two to do that. Welcome back to Gwynn and Chris here, 421 the time. Tony returns for a round of the Big Five. It's a funny and it's a good one.
What?
The Big Five. It's a good one today.
Oh, like what?
I was trying to think of some adjectives to describe it, but I couldn't. Here's a story that really surprised me. Let me read you the story, the first couple paragraphs, and then I'll explain to you why this surprises me.
Okay.
Dateline, Charlotte, North Carolina. The Carolina Panthers will be without Pro Bowl defensive lineman Derek Brown for the rest of the season.
Bummer.
Brown was placed on injured reserve Tuesday after a second opinion made it clear he needed surgery to repair a meniscus injury suffered in Sunday's 47-10 loss to the New Orleans Saints. You want to know why this story surprises me?
Yes, please.
I had no idea the Panthers had anybody good enough to be in the Pro Bowl on their team.
Everybody gets a Pro Bowler on their team.
Oh, is it true? Is it
think
like
so.
I don't know. I don't think it's like Major League Baseball.
Let me see.
Where every team has to have a member of the Pro Bowl.
That's a pretty sad year if you don't have one member of the
I
Pro
don't
Bowl.
know that you have to have a member of the Pro Bowl. I mean, the Panthers were 2-15 last year. They were awful. They certainly look like they're on their way to being awful again. Don't want to overreact to one game, but it was pretty pathetic, and it wasn't against a very good team, honestly. But yeah, so that's bad news for the Panthers, who certainly don't need any bad news.
No, they don't. I felt bad for them on Sunday. I really did.
It was 30-0 at halftime, I think. Bryce Young's first pass of the season was picked.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're throwing bombs over the top. Alvin Kamara's running wild out of the backfield. Yeah, it was a mismatch, to be sure. Panthers play the Chargers this week, so good chance for Harbaugh to start 2-0. A couple of other NFL stories while we're at it. 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey.
Uh-oh.
Now they're coming clean, the Niners are. We're going to talk about this in the Big Five more, but 49ers are now saying that his status is uncertain ahead of this week's game against the Minnesota Vikings. Something they wouldn't tell anybody last week ahead of the Monday night game against the Jets, that he wasn't even uncertain as of yesterday morning. But as of yesterday afternoon, of course, he did not play in the Monday night game. That has rankled some folks. As I said, Tony and I will kick that subject around. But McCaffrey uncertain for the Viking game.
This is very concerning to me.
I'm sure it is, but I don't think you really have
concerning.
to worry. I mean, the guy last night was fine. I don't see the Vikings being able to hold off the 49er line. They'll just blast them off the line of scrimmage, and what's his name will gain another 150 yards. What's his name?
Jordan
Mason? Jordan Mason. Looked fine to me, but, you know, who wouldn't look fine if you get 8 yards downfield before you're touched? 49ers were really, really good yesterday. I'm sorry.
Do you feel
really,
like
really good.
Head coach of the Jets, Robert Saleh, is just counting his days until he's fired?
I don't. I think the Jets are going to be good. They're not going to have to play the Niners every week.
No, and I get that, but I'm saying, like, he just looks so uninspired.
I know the Jets fans, Sammy Levitt being one, and what's the guy on ESPN in the morning? He's a big Jets fan. Greenberg?
Yes, Mike Greenberg.
Yeah, he's a big Jets fan. They were all whining and complaining, but I if the Jets go out this week and, lay another egg or something, then I say, okay, maybe they're not as good as I thought, but I can't overreact to a loss to the 49ers. I think a lot of teams are going to have losses like that to the 49ers this year. But, Christian McCaffrey out. Your guy, Kevin O'Connell, going to be looking to pull off a big upset.
They did last year.
That's right. They beat the
On Monday Night
49ers
Football.
last year.
They did.
Kevin O'Connell, ladies and gentlemen.
I think they even had
Coach of the Year honors last year, this year, every year.
every year. I mean, he does a
Skraby's
really good
best
job.
friend.
That he won't pick up my calls anymore. It's actually his PR
You sound
guy.
hurt.
It sounds like his PR guy doesn't like me infringing on their friendship.
All right.
But he does a really good job of preparing his team. They're
He's
prepared.
Kevin works hard. He works
does.
hard. But again, I don't know that you can really rate the Vikings because they played such a terrible opponent in the Giants. So
I didn't know the Giants were going to be that bad.
they didn't look good. They're the only team that did not score a touchdown this last week other than the Steelers. But at least the Steelers won their game. Speaking of the Steelers, Justin Fields preparing to start against Denver on Sunday. That means Russell Wilson does not get a shot at the Broncos, who let him go.
Did you see
last
this is
year.
this is
Those are the NFL news and notes that oats that you need to know.
this is like a kind of a side conversation, but
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Mason after the game, he was very upset at the media for basically reporting what he told the reporter.
Yeah,
And
because he realized he spoke out of turn.
yeah, he probably shouldn't have said
That's all
that.
that happened.
I know, and he was really upset after the game. But I'm
Yeah.
thinking, hey, dude, you can't be upset. You're the one who said it.
Yeah, but I think the 49ers have to take. I mean, you always think I'm picking on your team. In this case, I think the 49ers got to bring him over and say, look, you're probably going to start, but if anyone asks you, you didn't find out until game time.
Yeah.
They got to prep him for that. He's not a media darling.
No.
I bet you most people didn't even know who he was until yesterday. So
As soon as Kyle Shanahan found out, he was on the denial train. He was like, nope, we didn't know about it. It happened earlier. Blah,
very,
blah, blah.
very quick denial. We'll have more of that on the Big Five with that particular subject being one of the ones we go to. Some of the other stuff from the NFL left over. What are the Browns going to do with Deshaun Watson? This contract situation, you were telling me today, it's a mess.
It's a mess
that the Browns have. Like if they let this guy go, they'll have no money for 5 years or something. You
well,
said.
Here, I'm going to pull up his contract. But if you're looking at Daniel Jones and the Giants, you're thinking, man, they're
in
stuck
trouble with him. Right?
No, they can get out of his contract.
Oh, they
but
can.
Deshaun Watson's, because they didn't guarantee every single penny of it. But if the Browns decide to get out of Deshaun Watson's contract, they're going to be messed up for years to come because their dead cap is like $200 million for him right now because of the guaranteed money. So if he plays next year, it's $172 million. They basically are stuck with Deshaun Watson for the foreseeable future because they will be in big trouble on the cap.
Sorry, Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson, according to Bill Barnwell's chart on ESPN,
His chart?
did not complete a single pass further than 6 yards downfield. Bill Barnwell said his chart looked like something out of a Pop Warner game. You are an NFL quarterback. You should be able to get the ball down 15 yards or so. 6 yards downfield. That's not hard to cover, right? I mean, I know the Cowboys played well, but that's a little easier, when that's the case.
But I just don't understand. I mean, we all said this at the time of the contract. What were the Browns thinking next year and the year after? They owe him 72, or his cap hit is $72.9 million for the next 2 years each.
The three primetime games coming up this week. Thursday, Bills Dolphins. So we'll get ready for that. You can poke fun at the Dolphins, but be careful because it is September, and that's when they seem to be able to play. We'll see what happens Thursday. The Sunday night game this weekend is going to be Bears Texans. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to give me Caleb Williams against C.J. Stroud, but Caleb Williams isn't ready to take on anybody yet. Threw for 93 yards the other day. The Bears, probably the first team in NFL history to rally from 17-0 down at the half without scoring a touchdown.
That's a pretty good point.
They got one on a blocked punt. They got one on a fumble return, kicked a couple of field goals, and pulled that game out against the Titans. The Monday night game next week, another not classic.
Which one? What is
Falcons-Eagles.
it? Oh.
You know, this is. I know these executives, they try to give you these good games. So they think Kirk Cousins signs with the Falcons, so now the Falcons are a big deal. They're not.
They're the same old Falcons.
Same old Falcons.
Unfortunately.
All right, we'll take a break. Big Five, Tony, Gwynn, everything next.
Here's how.
City's #1 sports talk station, 97.3 The Fan. Next hour, Sam Levitt's Eco Water SoCal Padre pregame show right now. Our Big Five.
Show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, Chris and I here in the Odyssey Palace, and Tony up in Seattle getting ready. He's about to get ready for the game between the Padres and the Mariners. We'll talk about that a little bit at 5 o'clock, get you ready for that game. But it's time now
Number 5
for the Big Five. And I've heard a ton about Francisco Lindor being in the mix for National League MVP. Most are still thinking Ohtani is going to win it, but there is a notion that Lindor could make a vote a little more difficult. And here's what I have to say about that. Since the All-Star break, Manny Machado has hit .291 with 12 homers, 11 doubles, 38 RBIs, and an OPS of .898. And oh yeah, the team was winning like crazy. So Tony, is it crazy for me to think Manny should be in the conversation for MVP? And I'm not saying win it, but at least be mentioned.
I didn't know where you were going with this. Lindor was okay. So, yes, no, it's not crazy for you to think
Woohoo!
that. I think, when it breaks down, I think he'll be one of the finalists. What is there, usually 3 or 4? 3?
I think there's
finalists?
4.
I think there's 4. You're right. I could see him being in that for sure. Absolutely. The thing is, right? These awards a lot of times boil down to numbers and storylines. And, we talked about this, I think, last week in terms of Ohtani kind of being the runaway guy. But the reality is, if the Mets keep playing the way they play, that storyline is going to bubble, especially if Lindor continues to play the way he's played. And whether we like it or not, when you live in the state of New York, the biggest media, spot in our country, that matters in these points. And I don't think there's no doubt. I don't think there's a doubt Manny will be in that top 3 or 4 when it's all said and done. But I think it's going to be, if the things keep rolling the way they are, I think there's going to be more and more people that start to look at Lindor as the guy that can actually, at least go neck and neck with Ohtani when it's all said and done. I do think that is starting to kind of shape itself as we moved through the month of September and the Mets keep playing the way they're playing.
Chris, is it crazy for me to think Manny should be in the conversation for MVP?
It's not crazy, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think there are 3 finalists for every award, if I'm not mistaken. But MVP could have 4, but I think it's 3. And I don't think Manny is in the minds of enough voters around the country to be in the top 3, finish in the top 3. Look, I mean,
who's your third, but
yeah,
who do you think is the consensus third?
Yeah, I don't know. Marcell Ozuna was until he fell completely off the map here in the last 2 or 3 weeks. He was making a run at the Triple Crown for a while.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know. I think Manny deserves mention. Obviously, he has, to me and you, Tony, who have seen this every day. He's the secret oil that makes this engine run for the Padres, and
for sure.
I know that Jackson Merrill is probably going to get some love for team MVP. I know Profar was there for a long time, and you could mention Suarez and so many other guys. But you and I both know that when Manny hits, the team wins, and when he's in the middle of things, the team wins. So I think he's been the most valuable for the Padres in that sense. However, the Padres are probably not going to win the division. I do still believe they're going to be a wild card, but they're going to be in the middle of the pack there. I think Ohtani, Lindor will certainly be finalists. I think they'll grab somebody from either Philadelphia or maybe even Milwaukee. I'm not sure where they'll go with it, but I don't think Manny gets top 3. He could get some votes down near the bottom of the top 10, but I think we're the only ones who know how valuable he truly is.
Yeah. You're probably right. I'm probably jaded a little bit because I watch him every day.
Look, if he doesn't win the Gold Glove this year, what does he got to do? But he's probably not going to. They'll find somebody else to give the Gold Glove. They'll probably find somebody else to give the Silver Slugger to. and we'll just take Manny for, our guy because we see him and know how great he is. And for some reason, everybody else wants to dislike this guy and not appreciate his amazing talent.
Now, I'm seeing that there is officially 3 from each league.
Yeah, I think it is.
But
I think Chris is right.
There's up to 20. There was 22 AL guys voted for last year.
Yeah,
23.
right. Oh no, he'll get
some.
Sometimes they do show a 4th.
Yeah, but they normally when they make the rundown, I mean they'll show they'll show the entire voting.
Ah.
So you'll see, man. I mean, because everybody votes 1 through 10. Everybody gets 10 votes, and then if you get 1/10th place vote, you'd show up at the end on the ballot, in the balloting. So
Josh Naylor was one of the guys. Alex Bregman and Josh Naylor both got 1 vote.
there you go. They both got a 10th place vote last year. So Manny, I'm sure the people in San Diego who get the 2 San Diego people who vote, should find a way to get him in the top 10 and get him some points.
Who did TJ Friedel pay to get on this list last year?
I don't know. Yeah, he must have had some information on a Cincinnati writer.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Number 4.
All right, the 49ers are in a little bit of perceived trouble after last night's game. After the 49ers dismantled the Jets, people were talking about Christian McCaffrey and how much the 49ers may have known about him being scratched before the game last night. Now, after the game, backup Jordan Mason was asked when he knew he was going to start, and he told the reporter, he said he knew on Friday that he was going to start this game. And CMC was asked on Friday about his calf. He said everything should be fine. Now, Kyle Shanahan is denying everything about this, saying he was not told Friday and that this was a game time thing. So, Chris, you're up first here. Do you think the 49ers should be punished for this?
Punished is probably a little strong, but I think they should sit back for a few moments while I unload on their lying ways.
Oh, gosh. At least. No. I knew this was going to be a dicey topic.
Here's the thing. I talked about this yesterday when it was first mentioned that he was sitting out the game, that this was problematic. And the reason it's problematic is because gambling runs football. And if you don't think that's true, all you have to do is look every Wednesday in your newspaper, if you still get one, at the injury reports that they put out every single week. Why do they put those out? Because we really need to know? No. For the gamblers to know who's playing and who's not playing. And when a superstar like Christian McCaffrey flies under the radar and nobody mentions that there's even a remote chance he won't play, he wasn't even questionable. He wasn't listed as...
He was questionable.
Probable. I mean, this guy was like... Christian McCaffrey's playing until 90 minutes before kickoff after almost everybody had bet on this game. And I imagine a lot of people who bet the 49ers weren't feeling too good about it until the game was actually played. The bottom line is the 49ers did what every team in the NFL does, right? They tried to keep secrets from their opponents. But the league generally frowns on this, and I think they definitely frown on it when you get caught red-handed. And lying Kyle Shanahan got caught red-handed.
Why are you lying Kyle Shanahan?
He got caught. He came out and said, we just knew like 90 minutes ago. There's no way that this kid, Mason, would say that he found out Friday night and without knowing what was going on. And he obviously knew that McCaffrey wasn't going to play, so did everybody. And they didn't tell anyone, and they got caught. And, so they had to listen to me for a few minutes and maybe some other people.
Tony, should the 49ers be punished for this?
I'm going to take a different approach on this one.
Interesting. Interesting.
I don't know that they should be punished for one of the things that Chris said, which is that every team does this. And I think the difference could be they could easily claim, as Kyle Shanahan did, that I told him to be ready. Now, in his mind, he could have interpreted that as basically knowing what he knows, the inside information. By the way, was he listed as questionable, Skraby, or was he just?
I believe he was, because I
didn't know he was even on the injury report.
Let me look at the injury report.
Yeah,
just
you'd have
sure.
to look at an official injury
report. I think that matters, right? Because and it matters from the standpoint of at least if they had him listed as questionable, they can play to that as their reasoning for it seeming like it was a last-minute deal. Like if he's questionable and in 90 minutes before the game they come out and they say he's not playing, it's much more feasible at that point that, hey, 90 minutes before the game, he wasn't able to go, we made the turn. Now, if he wasn't listed as questionable, I think everything that Chris just said is absolutely right. Because, unfortunately.
He was questionable.
Okay, so he was listed as questionable.
Yes.
Then I don't
Limited
think there's
participation in practice.
Then I don't think there's going to be room for there to be more than an investigation.
You know, it's funny. There won't be an investigation, but you know what's funny is Kyle Shanahan's dad, Mike Shanahan, did not like the fact that he had to list people, nor did Bill Belichick. So you know what both of those guys used to do?
Lie.
On Wednesday, they put all 50 guys on their injury report as questionable.
I mean, you could technically have all 50 guys
just
with an
to
injury.
stick it to the league. And,
I don't
in the
think you can do it
newspaper, the
anymore.
Denver Bronco thing took up like half the page because everybody was listed as questionable. So it's laughable, but don't overlook the gambling aspect of this. I mean, there's a lot of money exchanged on these games.
If they end up getting in trouble, that will be why. Is because people lost a bunch of money, or the gambling
they could
community,
have for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a little bit nervous about this Christian McCaffrey injury because I told Chris yesterday, and I've been saying it for weeks, there's no news about him, which concerns me.
That was bad news, you thought?
Yeah.
Well, the bad news for everybody else is that, with all due respect to Jordan Mason, it seems like Mason Rudolph could run behind that offensive line and gain 100 yards.
Hey, 147 yards is nothing to sneeze
Skraby,
at.
he wasn't touched till he got 5 yards downfield on every play.
But wait, the defense of the Jets is so good.
I thought they were, but the 49ers crushed them.
We all knew that the moment they got CMC, it was like a cheat code. Because the 3 guys they had before that, we ain't really heard from since. And they all, and it doesn't matter who you plug in there, they all just run. Now, don't get me wrong, CMC is the cheat code of all those running backs.
Yeah.
But, I think we're seeing now with last night's performances and the performances before CMC got there, they can do some running the football.
Hey, Brandon Ayuk probably would have caught a touchdown if he had taken part in any sort of practice before last night.
That wasn't part of this question.
I don't care.
That sure wasn't. Move on.
Needed to get it out. We're going to be talking about betting here and that situation at number 2. So right after this one, it goes 3 and then 2, Chris. You following me?
I do.
Okay. The Pittsburgh Steelers are sticking with Justin Fields as their starting quarterback for another week, Coach Mike Tomlin said today. Fields got the start over Wilson in last Sunday's Week 1 matchup against the Falcons, and the decision means that Wilson, who is still dealing with a calf injury, won't get to face his team that let him go, Denver Broncos. It's going to be Justin Fields instead. Tony, do you think, yes, he is injured, he has a calf injury, do you think Russell Wilson is on the back end of his starting quarterback days?
I thought that before the season started without a calf injury. I think that's pretty obvious. He's on the back end of his starting years. I don't think that very many people think he has a bunch of time left as a starter. So, yeah, I think that's accurate.
Okay, Chris?
It's pretty apparent that he is. I'm not ready to completely, toss dirt on him yet. Justin Fields.
He's just in the grave.
Well, he's in a bad spot right now. Justin Fields didn't turn the ball over last week and led, 6 field goal drives for what it's worth. With all due respect, Brock Purdy led the same amount of field goal drives last night. So, maybe Justin Fields did some things well. I think Justin Fields gives them a better shot than Russell does at this point, but that's my own opinion. But if Russell gets his shot, maybe he'll be able to grasp onto a little last-minute magic. But he's certainly, nearing the finish line. And, as Tony is, etched in stone on this show, Father Time is undefeated, and Russell Wilson has been playing for a while and playing really well for a long time. So let's not totally forget about what he's accomplished while, at this point he's not that same level.
All right.
Number 2.
Now here's the sports betting controversy in regards to the 49ers. Someone put this online, and the company that is in question is called Bet365. It's one of those overseas things, I think. So after CMC was ruled out, this bettor received this message because they had bet over 13.5 rushing yards for Jordan Mason. They wrote, "We are contacting you because you placed a bet at the odds of -110 on Jordan Mason over 13.5 rushing yards versus the Jets. We have identified that this selection was placed at incorrect odds, and as such, in accordance with our rules, will be settled at the revised odds of -5,000. Please accept our apologies for any inconvenience caused." Now, everybody who made this bet is extremely mad because
Wait, give that to me again. You said that in like betting terms, and that just like
basically
blew my head off. So.
he was over 13.5 rushing yards for Jordan Mason.
He was going to win like his money back, but they changed the line to
Yeah.
make him win like a nickel back.
They're saying it was an incorrect odds that he got it at. So they're going to pay it out at minus 5,000.
At the new odds.
At the new odds. And so this person said, heck no, this is crazy. They put it online and it started steamrolling a little bit, but this is an overseas thing, so they can...
Yeah.
I don't know. Can they do
Good luck.
anything with it?
I don't know. Good luck with all of that. Yeah.
Chris, should they have to pay out every single bet that was made over 13.5 yards rushing for Jordan Mason?
Seems like they should. Look, the bookies are taking as much of a risk as the gamblers are, and you put a line out there, and somebody bets on it, and then something drastic like that happens. Unfortunately, you have to pay the price for it. I think. I mean, that would be my ruling on it. But at the same time, this is the gambling world, and even though it is now legal to place wagers in many states, I don't really know what the official governing body of gambling is. Seems to me the governing body of gambling is still some guy named Rocco coming over to your house and shaking the money out of your pockets. Right?
No, Rocco's coming.
That's what I mean. So, if these guys want to tell you just won $5 instead of $500, good luck. You better find your own Rocco to try and get the money, because I don't think they're going to give it to you. And I don't know who you're going to go complain to.
That was really funny.
So yeah, sorry.
That's hilarious.
Tony, should they have to pay out every single bet?
Oh, wow. I think I want to say yeah, but there are these things called a mistake, and in the gambling world, they get to kind of dictate how these mistakes go. Now, there has been like some payouts on similar things, I feel like, in the past.
I would
that
think
we've
so.
covered.
Let's just put it this way: if you put a certain amount of money on the Padres when they were 50-1, and then they won 30 games in a row and became 5-1, you should still get paid at 50-1 if they end up winning, because you
for sure
were foreseeing something, luckily.
For sure.
So
and listen, I'm gonna say that I'm gonna go with Chris on this one. I would think that you probably got to make the adjustment when the adjustment is happening. These folks, I think, put in their money thinking it was one way. Now, was this like an obvious one? Like, should they have known better? Like, man, this
I
looks
would think that he would have made it anyway.
Well, go back to what you said on question 4, though. Christian McCaffrey was officially listed as questionable.
Yeah.
Maybe a smart bettor somewhere or two thought, I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to bet some money on his backup just in case he gets injured during the game. He can't continue. My guy gets in there and he makes the 13 yards. I win. That, to me, that's smart betting. I don't think you can, make the guy have to, pay the price for a smart bet.
Yeah.
Sounds like that. He was thinking ahead and taking a risk.
Rocco can't be coming to his house.
I don't think so. I think Rocco has to head to Bet365.
Rocco is the enforcer of Bet365. Now, do you think there should be okay, so they rule CMC out. People start betting on Jordan Mason at those odds.
No, you
minute later, the odd line changes.
Well, that's up to you.
In that minute?
That's up to you as the bookie to get that line changed.
Or maybe you just take the bet down as
you
soon
take
as you
it
know.
down or whatever you've got to do because of the information. But I think this is a smart bet. I mean, these guys were risking money because anybody who bet, let's say, $1,000 on Jordan Mason prior to yesterday afternoon was running the risk that this guy wouldn't even play in the game.
True.
So they were certainly risking something. Then when McCaffrey, can't play, now it's a great bet. I don't think you can penalize them for that.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Number 1.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray.
Oh, my God. How am I supposed to answer that now when I'm crying?
I like how he says baseball.
Oh, man, nobody says it. Said it like he did.
Yes, unfortunately, James Earl Jones passed away yesterday at the age of 93. So, Tony, what is your favorite James Earl Jones movie? Because he has so many different roles all over the place.
I'm taking a guess on this one. I'm going to see if Tony goes to the same place I'm thinking. Because I know what movie Tony loves.
Coming to America,
Yes!
man.
Oh,
I got it. I got it.
One of my favorite parts of.
I knew that was where you're going.
There's a few favorite quotes on there. I can't get the quotes exactly right, but the part where he kind of doesn't really want to marry the young lady that they have chosen for him, and he got all those people out there waiting, and him and Eddie are back there talking about what's going on, and the I don't know what to call him, servant, but the guy comes in and is like, King, we have such and such amount of people waiting. He's like, well, let them wait. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie.
That was a pretty good imitation, by the way,
that
Tony.
was.
Pretty good.
James Earl Jones is a legend, man. He'll be missed. His voice will certainly be missed on a lot of things that I think we just kind of take for granted now.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
man. That was, I mean, 93. He lived a long, long life, very productive life. But that's one of my favorite James Earl Jones quotes. There's a ton of them.
He's Darth Vader.
Yeah, it's hard to beat that.
That's
iconic
crazy,
role.
right?
It is crazy that he's Darth Vader. Like
I
that's one of
think
the most
it's even
iconic characters in movie history.
I would think.
What is the director? Who's the director that did
George Lucas.
Yeah.
George Lucas, for him to recognize that whoever was playing that part didn't have the right voice that he was looking for, so to find James Earl Jones to do just the voicing, it is beyond brilliant.
Yeah, my favorite James Earl Jones movie is not
Chris,
a
I was
movie
trying
that
to
he's
do that.
famous for his voice, but
By the way, I shouldn't call him James Earl Jones. It was King Jaffe Joffer.
Thank you.
Coming to America. Sorry,
I need to
get
watch that
right.
movie again. I haven't seen it in a very long time.
thank you for getting it right. He's very famous, as we know, for Field of Dreams and all the other ones, but it is another baseball movie that is my favorite James Earl Jones movie. He plays the catcher in this movie. It's called The Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings. It came out in the mid-70s.
What was that title again?
The Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings. It stars Billy D. Williams, who's the pitcher, and James Earl Jones is the catcher who he recruits for a barnstorming team. They are not getting treated well in the Negro Leagues by their owner, so they all boycott the actual league. They go around the country, they play baseball, and they earn their way back into their rightful spot in the Negro Leagues. James Earl Jones is kind of the Josh Gibson character, a slugging catcher. Richard Pryor is in this movie. It is quite awesome, and I highly recommend for any baseball fan to go back and find it. So I will go with that one.
All right. Well, that was a good Big Five, everybody.
Very
Thank
good.
you. It's got to be Darth Vader. From Bucket List was pretty good too. Remember?
Yeah,
Bucket
but
List?
Darth Vader was kind of a low-hanging fruit.
Yes,
Had to
it
go
was.
somewhere else.
Oh, you guys picked some good ones. All right, that's it for the Big
Luke,
Five.
I am your father. Everybody knows that.
How about just this is CNN?
Oh, that is true.
I had no idea of that till this morning, by the way.
That was him.
Do you think he gets paid every time that they use that thing? That'd be great.
This is maybe.
Okay, all right, thanks.
I was
Chris.
going to say something that I thought was funny, but I didn't want to go there.
All right. We're going to get you set for game one between Padres Mariners next on 97.3 The Fan.
Get ready for football season by joining the fun on America's #1 fantasy sports app, Prize Picks. Use code KWFN. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50. It's guaranteed. Set your lineups now. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details.
This is Matt Coker from West Coast Men's Health. I'm proud to let you know that nationwide, our clinics have a 4.7 out of 5-star rating on Google. This tells
we roll right on into the happy hour. Final couple of segments together here on Gwynn and Chris. Happy Tuesday to you. Crisello here. Tony Gwynn Jr., good lively Big Five there. Tony is, doing his thing now in Seattle, getting ready for the game, getting his lineups all organized. By the way, have you ever seen Tony's lineup?
I was going to say, he
machine?
takes them very seriously.
Oh, my goodness. First of all, he doesn't write his lineups on paper anymore.
No.
He's graduated to the app on his computer.
On his iPad.
On his iPad, thank you. You're better at the terminology than I am. But he gets his lineups on there, and he color coordinates everything.
He does.
Like the names, the positions, where they are out in the field, where they are in the batting order.
Yeah, are they lefty or are they righty?
Lefty, righty. It's honestly, and we're talking about Tony Gwynn Jr. here, who's not, I wouldn't exactly call him Picasso, but his lineup sheet or what did you call it? A lineup on his
iPad,
on his tablet.
Yeah.
It's a thing of beauty.
It is.
He ought to hang him in the Louvre, this guy.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, so he works hard on those lineups. He's getting ready for the game.
It does take a long time to put them together.
It does. Like, honestly, when I broadcast games and I didn't have the app and the things like that, I wrote my lineup down in about 8 seconds, and, we played the game. But things are new technology, Skraby.
Yeah, I think Mudcat got him into the iPad
He
thing.
did. Yeah, Jesse does not use the iPad
No,
yet.
I think I would like the paper.
Jesse still uses the paper, but Jesse, just a peek into Jesse's world in the booth, he has like 3 or 4 other tablets open at one time.
He does.
And, the funny thing is I don't think he really needs them because he knows everything to begin with. But just in case there's something he needs to look up, Jesse's ready.
And because I'm a prep person, like a prep snob, so I was looking at his prep one day.
Oh, yeah. No,
I hope
he's
it was
ready.
okay, Jesse, that I was looking over
He's
your shoulder.
ready. He's
but
ready.
He's got like the boxes, and even if it has one little fact about a player that never plays for that team,
he'll be ready with it. He'll be ready with it. Jesse, they really are. They become a really good team together.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be doing the game tonight at 6:30. Sam Levitt's Eco Water SoCal pregame show precedes that. One last thing. I mentioned the Louvre. You been to France? You been to the Louvre ever?
Never been to France.
So you haven't been to the Louvre?
No,
the
I
museum.
have not. My parents have.
And obviously, if you go to the Louvre, it's the law. You have to go see the Mona Lisa.
Oh,
you
I was
have
thinking,
to.
is
The Mona Lisa hangs in the Louvre. The
Sistine
original
Chapels in
that's another building
yes,
entirely.
Yes.
So the Mona Lisa hangs in the Louvre. You've got to see the Mona Lisa. So you walk around the place to make it look like you're not just there to see the Mona Lisa,
You're
but you
faking
really
it.
kind of are. So you finally get to the room where the Mona Lisa is. The first thing you notice about the Mona Lisa, one word: small.
Yeah, I've heard it's tiny.
You think it's going to be this whole big thing. It's really small. And here's the other thing that I thought of. I don't know that everybody else thinks of it. I always want to know what the other artists whose paintings hang in that room did to piss off everybody at the Louvre. Because nobody looks at those paintings.
I think you're in a good spot if you're in there.
Nobody looks at you. The Louvre, the room where the Mona Lisa is a regular viewing room with dozens of paintings. But I don't believe anybody ever looks at the other ones.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Because you're focused on
You should go see the
the
other
Mona
ones.
Lisa. But
Oh,
you
I'm
can't-
seeing it right here. Okay.
You can't get to the Mona. You can't get to the other painting because there's so many people crowded in the room to try and see the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, I get that. I see it now. It's like you have a bunch of barriers in front of it, so that is it underwhelming?
Yes,
Was it worth
tremendously
it?
so.
Do you feel good that you went and saw it?
So I could tell this story right now. I guess
It's
was
worth it.
worthwhile,
I
but
guess
that's
it's
about
worth
it.
I'm a history guy. I think I would go see it, and I would do the same thing. Like, really? This is what I flew
Pretty
halfway
sure.
around the world
Yeah.
for?
Well, we didn't luckily fly just for that.
Oh, man.
All right, just a little culture for you there.
Thank you.
Speaking of lineups and Tony writing in his lineups, let's give you the Padre lineup tonight because it's interesting. We gave it to you earlier, but it's worth repeating. Arise is leading off. He's DH tonight. Fernando's in right field. Profar stays in the 3 spot despite his struggles. He's in left field. Manny's cleaning up at third. Jake is batting fifth at second base. Nothing strange about this. Xander Bogaerts batting sixth. However, this part is going to catch your attention. Bogaerts is playing shortstop tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Merrill is in center. Donovan Solano is batting eighth at first base. And then Kyle Higashioka catching. The odd man out is Mason McCoy. But we talked about it all day before the lineups came out, and now it's kind of come to pass. Bogaerts playing shortstop is a big deal. Why? Because if Ha-Seong Kim was only going to be out for another day or so, there's no way they'd move Bogaerts just for a day. It's pretty clear to me that this is kind of the Padres, the plan moving forward here down the stretch. Bogaerts at short, and Solano, or tonight Solano, but other nights maybe Peralta in there in the DH spot with the rise at first base or vice versa. But this is a big deal. Mike Shildt obviously was asked about the shortstop situation today, earlier in Seattle. He'll give us a whole bunch of stuff that we can listen to.
Getting the start at short. What went into the thought? What were the conversations like? What led to the decision?
Well, I mean, it starts with, Kimmy's still not back. So we have a void at shortstop, and, McCoy's doing a nice job. Just creates an opportunity for Bogey. Talked to him a couple different times, spoke to him more recently on Sunday, and said he's comfortable going over there. He's comfortable with this field. Having played in the American League, felt good about it. Also creates an opportunity for Solano to get in the lineup. So a lot of variables, and that's where the lineup is today.
You emphasized today, is there a thought to what this might look like moving forward, or does this appear to be a day-to-day decision with Bogaerts at short?
Yeah, I mean, every lineup's independent of another lineup, so we'll just continue to look at it, and we'll let you know based on the lineup tomorrow.
How about with Kim? How far along is he, and where is he in the progression?
Like I'm pretty sure I mentioned last time, we had a day off, so he had a day off as well. So he's in the same spot he was a couple of days ago, and that's just, kind of a little bit of holding pattern where he's throwing and try to, get the progression going back again, but he wasn't able to take that next step.
Is there any indications to whether it'll be a day-to-day thing with Kim, or do you anticipate this possibly going as long as a week or more?
I don't know. Like I said, once a guy doesn't take that next step, clearly that's not really a setback, but it's not a step forward. So he's not able to progress, and we're kind of a little bit flatlined, and we'll just have to evaluate it.
With Darvish, with Bogaerts at short, what does this do for the rest of the lineup, allowing certain bats to get in there that may otherwise not have had that chance?
Yeah, I mean, it creates a lot more of an opportunity for Solano, who's had a tremendous year for us, and it lengthens the lineup and gets him in there, and again, creates opportunity for Solano today.
Any restrictions on Darvish today, or limitations, pitch count?
No, he's ready to dominate.
So he can go beyond 80?
Yeah, he's probably in that 80, 85, 90 range, depending on how hard he's working.
There was no limitation.
I love him. Mike, you're my pal, Mike Shildt. First of all, guest performance there by Mike Pomeranz on most of those questions. Mike Shilt's a classic. And you know what? I'm laughing now because I think I got him read like a book. And I'm pretty sure he knows we've got him read like a book, right? He's saying he's been doing the same dances all year. And it's okay. This is what managers do. This is what, people in all sports do now. They don't want to give out any more information than they have to. So you have to do a little reading between the lines. And, when they tell you, when you ask him, is this a day-to-day thing with the lineup? And he says, yes, this independent lineup is tomorrow's lineup. It's just not true. It's just not true. There's no way they would move Bogaerts to shortstop just for today, on a whim, if Kim was coming back tomorrow. They know darn well he's not coming back for a while. They don't want to quite tell us. I get it, but, look, just be smart out there. Bogaerts is going to shortstop for the foreseeable while here. Maybe the rest of the regular season, maybe the rest of the season. If Kim can come back in the net, he's not done that much more time.
No.
But, they could consider putting him back at short. But I think this is where it's going to finish right now. Bogey at short and Arise at first, or, DHing tonight with Solano at first. The other thing that was interesting, that's why I laughed when he came back, but the question was, does Darvish have any limitation on any pitches? Nope, go dominate. So like around 80, yeah, about 80, 85. Well, you just said
That's
he had no limit.
limitation.
That's a limit. So it's just funny to me. He's not. I know it sounds like I'm poking fun at Schilt. I'm not. He's every other manager. He just happens to be our guy.
Yeah, exactly. And we listen to him every single day, so we know what we're expecting. But the thing with Ha-Seong Kim that they keep saying that tells me that he might be out for a long time is that he didn't quite have a setback, but he didn't have a step forward, which tells me that they're not happy.
It's Mike Schultz's way of trying to keep hope alive. But
True.
I just don't think,
and I'm fine with that, but
I don't feel that the hope is real. Tony said it earlier. If Bogarts goes to shortstop, that's because they know something. And it's fine. You could tell us, or you could lie to us like, your guy, Kyle Shanahan. Oh, I had to duck that in real quick.
Oh, wow.
Gee, take a look at the time. We got to go to break.
Oh, wow.
You're just not going to have time to rebut that statement.
I have nothing to say other than that he's no different than any NFL coach.
And any Major League Baseball coach.
Although his players are stupid enough to say the plan.
Yes, his running back threw him under the bus,
and Tebow
unfortunately.
apparently said it. They found out Sunday night that.
Yeah, everybody's thrown old Shanny under the bus there. Old Shanny. All right, we got a quick daily gambit for you. Do we have time for it all?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, it's next after a check of traffic.
From the
Skraby just gave me the 12-minute warning. Notification was given to each bench. 5:22 is the time. In about 12 minutes, we'll be heading it over to Sammy Levitt and the Padre pregame. And then Tony and Jesse, big ball game tonight. They are big now. Even Tony admitted, right? Didn't we finally get him to admit that like these games are big now?
We did.
After like a whole season of it doesn't matter anymore. Now it matters.
See, I know that Tony's right in where
right.
In June I can't be calling for the team to fold because they've lost a few games.
Yeah, but 17 games left.
Yeah.
You're up by 2.5.
It's time.
3 teams chasing you.
It's time.
Yeah, got to get it.
Time.
Got to get it right now. Padres 5-game road trip starts tonight. Quick reminder, when they return home next Monday, the Astros are in.
Ooh.
And coming up a week from tomorrow, September 18th, it's the final giveaway of the season.
Woo-hoo!
Wednesday, September 18th. Here's what it is. Presented by Cannell's. A Fernando Tatis Jr. Platinum Glove bobblehead.
That's right.
As modeled by Matt Skraby if you're watching on YouTube.
Yes, it's a very nice bobblehead. He's got the platinum glove. His head is bobbling.
As far as we know,
do.
he's looking into the sun, but catching the ball.
Oh, my gosh. He has sunglasses on.
Which he doesn't always wear.
I wonder if he wore sunglasses on that day.
He didn't. That was the whole complaint.
No, not the Sunball day on Sunday. I'm
I
talking about
see.
when he actually made that big catch last year.
Yeah, don't know. Last year, of course, Fernando was the first Padre ever to win the Platinum Glove, given to the National League's best overall defender. Next Wednesday, the final giveaway of the year, presented by Cannell's, the Fernando Platinum Glove bobblehead. All right, let's finish things up with the Daily Gambit, Scrape. Kind of weird timing, but
yes,
that's what
it
we're
is.
doing today.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo! If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in The Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit, our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. Please, everybody, gamble responsibly. I just checked the Fernando photo, and he is indeed wearing sunglasses on that play. So,
On the play in question.
in question, that is the
The
bobblehead
bobblehead play.
which is when he went up and over the wall to rob a home
Right.
run. He was wearing
Not wearing them the other day, though, when he missed the ball.
No.
Looking into the sun. And something pointed out to me was that, because I talked about it yesterday, when the ball's up in the sun, you put your glove up to block the sun. Then you try to look around your glove for the ball. On the one he didn't catch, he did not put his glove up. He put his bare hand up.
He did put his bare hand up.
Big
I did see
difference.
that. Yeah, you've less area to cover with your hand.
Hopefully that won't be a factor. It's a night game tonight in Seattle.
I don't know. The sun stays up pretty late there in Seattle.
Could be a factor in the first or two innings.
Could be a factor.
All
right, here we go. CMC bets null and void because he didn't
Null
play
and
last
void did not play last night.
Aaron Rodgers over under 233.5 passing yards. Chris went under. I went over. Should have.
He was way under, wasn't he?
He was 167.
Yeah.
He did not look good in the any
He
quarter
said
except
he
for the
didn't,
first.
but he said he didn't look good. I think he was rusty. He's also facing a good team. I'm going to give him a little more time before I'm too critical.
There was a couple throws where I'm like, oh no, we got the Aaron Rodgers guy.
I thought one of the early ones to Garrett Wilson was kind of a back shoulder. He put it up in the air.
And Garrett Wilson snagged it.
Yeah, I thought, boy, that's Rodgers right there.
Yeah.
But we didn't see much of that last night.
No, we didn't, but we'll see probably some of that throughout the season. Niners and Jets, total points over under 43. I said under, Chris said over. It was over 32-19 equals 51 points. And by the way, it was a scoregami last night, meaning last night's score was the first time it's ever happened in an NFL game, 32-19.
Really?
So
that is kind of wild. In the
'cause
history of the sport.
I don't know the last time I've ever seen a 32.
You haven't? Oh, 32.
Yeah.
But 32-19, you obviously had never seen it because it never happened.
It's very strange. Lots of field goals and all that.
No kidding. For those who didn't know, I was playing my fantasy game against my godson. I was up by 11 points.
Yeah.
But he had the 49er kicker, and I think you know how that turned out.
Not well for you.
A victory for my godson, as it goes.
Now, who had more complete passes in the game, Aaron Rodgers or Brock Purdy? I chose Aaron Rodgers. You chose Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy had 19, so he wins that one.
Yeah.
More yards, rushing yards, Breece Hall or CMC. Well, CMC didn't play, so Breece Hall was the one. 54 yards, got him the title. You picked him. I picked CMC.
Yeah, but that was kind of a null and void bet.
Debo
Didn't really have a chance to win that. Your guy wasn't even in the game.
Debo and then Brandon Ayuk. Who had more receiving yards? Both of us chose Debo. Both of us were correct. 54 yards. Ayuk had 28. And I gotta say, if he would have practiced, there would have been a few more catches for him last night.
Dropped the touchdown.
He dropped the touchdown.
Yeah.
He dropped the first pass that was thrown to him. I'm sorry, you cannot make a big deal in the offseason if you're going to drop touchdowns.
No, I'm just going to remind you of midseason that your team gave him $30 million.
Oh, I think he's going to be fine.
Okay.
It's just
Okay.
not good timing. Paul Skeens last night, over under 6.5 strikeouts. Both of us went over, and he had 9. Dodgers over under 10 runs against the Cubs. Both of us went over, and the Cubs scored 10 on their own. It was 10-4 Cubs.
Right.
Final bet was which team scores more runs, the Braves or the Mets? I chose the Mets. Chris chose the Braves. The Mets had 3. Braves had 0.
All right, so I went 5-1 last night.
That's
Good
pretty
night.
good.
You were 4-2.
That's
Both
pretty
of us
good.
were
Yeah,
solid.
not bad.
Got a couple of them tonight. There's an interesting matchup at Dodger Stadium tonight, if you're aware.
Oh, yes.
Cubs and Dodgers, but that's not what's interesting. It is Imanaga against Yamamoto.
Yep.
They're going head-to-head. Yamamoto returning from being on the injured list forever. Right? He hasn't pitched in, I don't remember how long.
Since June.
Imanaga's having a great year. Dodgers are favored, though, by 1.5 runs. Cubs beat them last night. I'm going to go with Imanaga over the rusty Yamamoto. I'll go Cubs.
I'm going to go Imanaga, too, because I don't know that I've disliked the pitcher more than Yamamoto.
You don't like him.
You
don't like anybody who gets all that money, but the hype seemed a little deserved only because he was 3 times in a row MVP of the whole league over there.
I get it.
Like, that was pretty impressive to me.
Yeah.
But he hasn't really been able to show much this year.
I go Imanaga.
Who's going to have more strikeouts tonight? Yu Darvish of the Padres, George Kirby of the Mariners. They both have the same odds. Who are you going with here?
You know, George Kirby's my fantasy
Yeah,
pitcher.
but you already won that league.
Here's what I'm going to tell you about George Kirby.
Okay.
He's had some really bad games as of late.
All right.
He's had some low strikeout games, high earned run games.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Yu Darvish.
I hope you're right. I'm going to take Kirby just for the reason that I still think Darvish is on a pitch count.
Well, he is.
Regardless of what Mike Schilt tells me. I don't think Darvish goes much more than 4 or 5 innings tonight. New York Liberty in the WNBA 10-point favorite at Dallas. Liberty been the runaway. I hate giving 10 on the road, but I'm going to do it. I'll take the Liberty. -10. You want the Wings?
I'm going to take the Wings.
Good for you.
Yeah.
They got my favorite player in the league on their team.
I can't remember her name right now.
Yeah, I can't either.
Oh, it's not a Goomba Wale.
Yeah, Goomba Wale. Yeah.
Is that her name?
Yes.
Okay.
I love a Goomba Wale.
Yeah,
she
she's
can
great.
score, man.
Yes.
All-Star game MVP. Put 30 points up in 1 half. I love a Goomba Wale. I just can't remember her name.
Yeah.
All right, one more. Minnesota at Atlanta tonight, WNBA. Nafisha Collier of Minnesota, 20.5 points. Can't tell you a lot about her.
Yeah, me neither.
She's a high scorer, I assume.
Under.
You're going under?
Yeah, why not?
Well, I'll go over. I wouldn't have mentioned it. I think Nafisha's going to be really hard to contain tonight.
I've actually tried to pay attention to the WNBA a little bit this year, but there are still a lot of players I have no idea.
Well, they lost a little of the momentum with the Olympics, but
true.
Caitlin Clark, this has become the big controversy. And thankfully, we discussed this yesterday. The controversy was halted because of Angel Reese's injury. But if it wasn't for her season-ending injury, this vote for Rookie of the Year would have been like, the third coming or something. I don't know what it was. Everybody had not just an opinion on it, but an emotional opinion on it, it's got to be Caitlin. It's got to be Angel. You don't know what you're doing if you're picking against Angel. You're not looking at it fairly. Whatever. Here's the thing, and I'll just say this, and then it doesn't matter anymore because Caitlin Clark's going to win the Rookie of the Year because Angel got hurt. But Caitlin Clark's team is already in the playoffs. Angel Reese's team was not yet in the playoffs. They're trying to get there. And finally, Caitlin Clark has been beyond Asia Wilson of Las Vegas. Caitlin Clark, for the second half of the season, has probably been the best player in the league. I mean, Indiana, for those who don't follow the WNBA, and I don't follow it closely, Indiana was the worst team in the league for 5 years in a row.
Yeah, by far the worst team.
And she has single-handed, I don't want to say single-handed, there's other players, I get it, but she has come in there and helped turn that team into a competitive winning team.
There's a correlation between her showing up and them winning.
Seems like it. So I don't get why people, there are some, but they don't like Caitlin Clark. And most of the ones who don't like Caitlin Clark love Angel Reese. Here's the thing. There's room to like both of them, and you should like both of them. And if you're the WNBA, you should love both of them because together they have helped grow your sport. And that is, you can't ask for any more.
No. They've done more. Both those players have done more for the WNBA this year than I think I can ever remember.
You know, but how many controversies has Caitlin Clark been involved in through no fault of her own? Did you read? I read this the other day. She has been, what do you call it? What's a hard foul? Not a
flagrant.
Flagrant. She has been flagrant fouled 17 times this year. Why?
That's a lot.
Enough.
Who's the second most?
I don't know if anybody's got 17.
That's a lot.
That's a ton, isn't it?
I mean, why they hate her so much? I don't understand it.
I don't get it. All right, it's weird. We're done. We're back tomorrow at 2 o'clock with Tony and me, hopefully wrapping up a Padre victory. Sammy comes in next with the Padre pregame show. For Matt Skraby, Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris L.O., evening.